Shut. Huh? Oh. Shout out to all the subscribers. Shout out to the returning subscribers. Make sure you hit the like button, turn on your post notifications. Yeah, by the way, you see the link. You see the link in the post comments. Go to that link in the pin comments. Listen, wisdom. Get me? Wisdom. Hey, listen. I'm gonna do that each and every single time. If you know, you know, innit? Get me? My wife and kids and that. Like, that's where that's from. If you didn't know, yeah, go watch that TV sitcom. So I'm about to do a breakdown of that of each episode. But anyway, forget all that. For now, we're gonna react to. Why is JayZ so hated? Do you understand? Like, I need to figure this out. Why is he so hated? Do you know what I mean? Like, so let's just get straight into it. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, turn on your post notifications because I've got more content that is going to be on the way. All right. So without further delay, let's get to it. So the video we're gonna react to is not the true story of JayZ. We'll probably get to that for another day, for another time. Although, anyway. But this one is from Hip Hop History Channel, and this says how JayZ made billions finessing young rappers. Full story. You know what's so mad? Knowing straight off the back, straight away, finessing young rappers. Every chance I've heard when it comes to any rappers, they always salute JayZ for giving them free game. Do you understand? Lil Wayne, who he was beefing with, by the way, helped him with his financial situation, but Birdman couldn't help him. Come on, man. Anyway, let's keep it moving. But by the way, before this actually loads up properly, let me know in the comments below, yeah? If you hate JayZ, and hate is a strong word, by the way, if you hate him or you dislike
the brand was popularized.
Let me know in the comments below why you dislike him. Like, I want to know your reason, not other people's reasons, your reason. Do you understand? You could say you don't like his music. Okay, that's a fair. I want to say it's a fair assessment to make because music is a product that where not everyone can like the same thing, if that makes sense. So it's understandable, yeah. And it depends on how there's certain things, the environment, this, that, and the third, in it. And also your level of intellect. Because anyway, I won't get into it. Let's keep moving.
And created by Grammy-winning artist and businessman JayZ, who owns it and will retain a 50% ownership stake alongside Moet.
And how money can come between friends. We haven't had money for a long time, so we don't know we're not professionals at navigating how to communicate.
What if I told you that hip-hop's first billionaire built his empire by systematically betraying every person who helped him get there?
Betraying, or the word betray is such a harsh word, but let's hear what they got to say.
Behind the Armani suits and champagne toasts lies one of the most calculated schemes in entertainment history.
Volume 2, Hard Knock Life. Please welcome, making his network television debut, JayZ.
Right now, JayZ sits on a $2.5 billion throne, celebrated as the ultimate success story.
It is my... Wait, by the way, 2000... Hard Knock Life, yeah? I swear that came out in 2001. It's a hard knock. Yeah, 2001. I'm pretty sure of it. His debut album came out in 1996. Just keep that in mind for a moment. Yeah. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because, again, wisdom. Yeah. And if you want to understand what I mean by wisdom, go to the link in the pinned comments. Go grab your book. Yeah. And you'll get 365 days worth of wisdom, yeah, that you can apply. Do you understand? Yeah. So when I say that at the end of the day you can apply this, Because at the end of the day, when it comes down to success, it's never linear. There's always ups and downs. And hey, listen, 1996 to 2001. What do you mean his first television debut was in 2001? No, you're taking a mic. Let's go.
Honor to welcome to the Rock and
Oh, speaking of Dave Chappelle, yeah, I know I'm pausing often. Allow me in it, but there's a reason why I'm pausing. Okay, Dave Chappelle. I reacted to his latest. Well, if you're watching this after the 23rd of December, his most recent stand-up special with on Netflix, The Unstoppable. I reacted to that. Get me? So you can go watch that after this, by the way. Do you know what I'm saying? But let's go.
Roll Hall of Fame, JayZ.
The crack dealer who became a mogul, the street hustler who conquered corporate America. But here's what they don't want you to know. Every dollar in that empire was financed by finessing young artists, backstabbing loyal partners, and weaponizing trust like a business strategy. We're talking about a man who convinced his childhood friend to sign away his masters for pennies, who secretly negotiated behind his business partner's back for months before stealing a
what? Childhood friend? I never knew this. What friend is this? And who's they? See, you know when we do this, always ask questions, and also ask why. Yeah. If you remember when I reacted to or was I watching something else? I can't remember. But I just remember Dave Chappelle. Yeah, I was watching something else. Dave Chappelle was saying, no, it wasn't his stand-up. He was mentioning about, I can't remember where I watched it, but someone was saying, and I believe it was Dave Chappelle, where he said, ask why. No, that's it. I'm wrong. I was watching an interview with Charlemagne, and basically he said one of his mentors, I think it was, I can't remember which mentor it was, but he basically was saying, ask why. I think it was Clarence Havon. Do you know what I mean? But let's keep it moving.
$50 million company.
Who, by the way, is also JayZ's mentor, by the way, just to let you know. Like, well, was, shall I say, because rest in peace, Clarence Havon. But, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I think people need to understand these type of things, to understand where people are, the direction that they're going into or potentially going into.
Who built a system so sophisticated that artists still don't realize they're being robbed until it's too late. This isn't just another rags to riches story. This is the blueprint for how one man turned exploitation into an art form, betrayal into billions, and the dreams of an entire generation into his personal ATM machine. And I'm about to expose the real story behind JayZ's empire, how he went from slinging rocks in Brooklyn to finessing the entire music industry, one contract at a time. By the end of this video, you'll understand why some people call him the greatest businessman of our time, while others call him the most dangerous predator hip-hop has ever seen. And that stick around.
No one in hip-hop calls him the most dangerous predator, by the way. Like, literally nobody. If you do call him the most dangerous predator in hip-hop, you're not from the culture. Plain and simple. You're just not from the culture. Now, you may not like some of the things he has done, or you may not like, or you may be a fan of someone else who doesn't like JayZ within the hip-hop culture. Let's say, for example, you may be a fan of 50 Cent. You understand? And you may dislike JayZ just because 50 Cent doesn't like JayZ. But you don't know his reasons for not liking JayZ. Because him not liking JayZ, that could be all smoke and mirrors for something else. You just don't know. With 50 Cent, again, he's all about strategy as well, just like JayZ. There's a reason why they do certain things. We just don't know until, you know what I mean? As far as I'm trying to think who else, yeah. Like Nicki Minaj, again, she was a fan of JayZ, even right down to her name in her album, to Pink Print. Now, one could argue that the blueprint actually derives from KRS-One, which it actually does, but still, on a global scale, the way that JayZ done it, it goes right back to JayZ, by the way. Do you know what I'm saying? And also, you can look at the way he structured the whole business of hip-hop culture. Like, there's a few names to mention that come from that era. Because in 1996, the hip hop was different. Even right down to the stage performance or concerts. Like, listen, Kendrick Lamar, who via Super Bowl, JayZ and his team at Roc Nation basically announced announced Kendrick Lamar to be the first hip hop artist or rapper from hip hop to perform at the Super Bowl. And he did what he did. Yeah. Using his own music, like new music, some of it a bit old, but most of them new. And he was dissing someone else. Like, you see, it was the most hip hop ish ever. Yeah, at the Super Bowl. Yeah, and that's in 2024. And then bearing in mind, Kendrick Lamar is if I think he's like one of the first rappers to do a worldwide a stadium tour, like first rapper. Some may argue Eminem is the first, but either way, a kid from Compton. Do you know what I'm saying? Hey, listen, you need to understand there's levels to this. But let's keep it moving. Let's go.
Because what you're about to discover will change everything you thought you knew about success, loyalty, and the price of making it in America. Before we dive into the empire, we need to understand the man who built it. Shawn Corey Carter wasn't born into wealth or privilege. He came up in the Marcy projects in Brooklyn, 27 six-story buildings that housed some of New York's most forgotten families during the crack epidemic of the 1980s. But here's what makes JayZ different from every other rags to riches story in hip-hop. From day one, he understood that survival wasn't just about being the best, it was about being the smartest. While other kids were focused on the streets, Jay was already studying the game within the game. To understand how JayZ would later finesse an entire industry, you have to understand the environment that created him. The Marcy projects weren't just housing, they were a masterclass in hustle economics. Every transaction had an angle, every relationship had leverage, and every opportunity came with a price. This is the story of how those lessons would eventually cost his friends, his partners, and countless young artists millions of dollars. Because when you're dealing with someone who learned business on the streets of Brooklyn during the crack era, you're not just dealing with a rapper or a CEO, you're dealing with someone who sees every handshake as a potential setup. At 12 years old, Shawn Carter shot his own brother in the shoulder over a stolen ring. That wasn't just family drama. That was his first lesson in protecting assets and establishing consequences. In the Marcy projects, that kind of decision-making...
Was that over a stolen ring? This is where I should actually go to that book I have and get the real facts. Well, I say real facts as if this is false information. Like, I have a JayZ book somewhere, but do you know what? I don't want to be messing up that area just to look for that book. I'm sure it's there anyway. Like, because I remember it. I remember him mentioning it. Now, if he's mentioned it in interviews where he blatantly said, this was the reason why, all right, cool, whatever. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Obviously, there's no excuses, but you got to just take what they say verbatim and understand it that way. And if you disagree with their reasoning, that's on you, innit? You know what I mean? That's on you. But let's keep it moving.
...would become second nature. By 13, Carter was deep in the crack game. But here's what separates his story from every other dealer-turned-rapper narrative. Jay wasn't just slinging rocks to survive. He was studying the entire supply chain, learning how money moved, how territories worked, and most importantly, how trust could be weaponized. According to his own accounts, Jay was moving product from New York to Virginia, Maryland, and beyond. We're talking about a teenager running multi-state operations while most kids his age were worried about homework. But the real education wasn't in the drugs, it was in the relationships. Dame Dash, who would later become his business partner and eventual victim, has spoken about how Jay operated even back then. He wasn't the
eventual victim. Dame Dash. You're talking about the same Damon Dash, yeah? The same Damon Dash that, no disrespect to Damon Dash, because he's one of the people that I used to look up to as well, yeah? But with Damon Dash, he is the one that isolates himself. And let me break that down, what I mean by him isolating himself. to cut a long story short, yeah, what tends to happen is he's, as much as he may have the right intentions, how he speaks and how he speaks to other individuals comes across so harsh and so brash that some people don't want to deal with that. Do you understand? They don't want to deal with that. And bear in mind, yeah, let's keep this in mind. JayZ, what they're missing out on, they mentioned about the whole narcotic situation, blah blah blah. All right, cool. Yeah, there's a lesson in that in terms of the people he worked with, the person who put him on allegedly, yeah, or one of the people that put him on allegedly. His wife is the top person at Roc Nation till this day. Who do you think Nicki Minaj has been going on at with a, coke Twitter rants? You know what I mean? Allegedly. But no, for real. Like, just bear that in mind. So obviously, naturally, yeah, if you're someone who's like the whole, and let's keep it moving because they'll talk about it, and yeah, you start to understand what I'm talking about. But basically, the way he moved, the way Damon Dash moves versus the way JayZ moves versus the way Kareem Biggs Burks moves, you could see that eventually that the game was to be sold. Basically, that's what I'm going to say on that. Let's go.
Loudest guy in the room or the most flashy. He was the one watching, calculating, figuring out who had what and how to get it. Memphis Bleak, one of Jay's oldest friends, tells a story about visiting Jay's apartment in the mid-90s. He asked to borrow $100 and Jay told him to go to his nightstand drawer. When Bleak opened it, he found stacks of hundreds filling every drawer in the room. The message was clear. Jay always had more than he showed, and he always knew exactly what everyone around him needed. This wasn't just about drug money. This was about understanding leverage. Jay learned early that information was power, that appearing smaller than you are gives you an advantage, and that the best move is often the one nobody sees coming.
No, I'm not having that. I'm not. There was a story that was told, yeah, where, because Angie Martinez has said it before, yeah. Angie Martinez, she literally said JayZ would show up as like already as successful. Like, I'm not using her, these are not her words per se, but she more or less was alluding to the fact that JayZ showed off like he had money, he had wealth, like he was showing that. And so when you think about it, right, it's so mad, yeah, because it's like the fact that he has that mentality and wisdom, he's able to navigate certain situations the way that he wants to navigate, to the point where he can, for example, the point I was trying to make, what was I trying to make? I was trying to make a point. I forgot the point I'm trying to make. That's it. So in the tune, I think it's H did it is oh H did it is a. I think he says in that tune something about the Cold Crush brothers, because they were done dirty in the music industry. So he said in the nutshell, he said he's going to try. He's teaching you how to move in a room full of vultures. Are they going to mention this? I hope they do, because then what? Now what? JayZ is a vulture now. That's what it seemed like alluding to. But let's keep it moving.
These lessons would become the foundation of every business deal he'd make for the next 30 years. The transition from drug dealer to rapper wasn't just a career change for JayZ, it was the first major finesse of his life. While most dealers either got locked up or stayed in the game until it killed them, Jay saw something nobody else did. Hip-hop was about to become the new crack game, but legal. Here's where the story gets interesting. Jay didn't just decide to rap one day. He'd been writing rhymes since he was a kid, practicing flows on the subway rides between drug runs. But he kept that passion hidden from his street associates because showing artistic ambition could be seen as weakness in that world. Jaz-O, an older rapper from the projects, became Jay's first mentor in the music game, but even this relationship shows Jay's calculating nature. While Jaz-O thought he was helping a young kid learn the ropes, Jay was actually studying how the music industry worked, and more importantly, how artists got exploited. When Jaz-O got a record deal with EMI, he brought Jay along to London for recording sessions. The album flopped, and EMI dropped Jaz-O without warning. But Jay wasn't discouraged. He was taking notes. He watched how the label executives treated Jaz-O like a disposable commodity, and he made a mental note: never be in a position where someone else controls your destiny. By the mid-90s,
Is that a bad thing though? Leave your answer in the comments below. Is that a bad thing to see something from that happened to your mentor, and it's a negative thing that's clearly happened to your mentor, and you take notes that, you know what, this is the lesson, and it's a smart lesson, right? Let me know in the comments below. Is it a wise lesson? And if it's a wise lesson, go to the link in the pinned comments when it's available, and then you'll be able to purchase your book on wisdom. Like, there's 365 days worth of wisdom. And yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I get paid a small commission because I had to put that disclaimer out there because of, you know, that's what Amazon want me to do. But let's keep it moving. Let's go.
Jay was still moving weight, but he was also shopping demo tapes around New York. Every major label passed on him. They said he was too old, his flow was too complex, his subject matter was too street. But what they didn't realize was that every rejection was just more data for Jay to process. He wasn't just trying to get signed, he was learning how the industry worked so he could eventually control it. The turning point came when he met Dame Dash through DJ Clark Kent. Dame was managing a group called Original Flavor, and he had the kind of aggressive, in-your-face energy that complemented Jay's more calculated approach. But even from the beginning, their partnership was built on a fundamental misunderstanding. Dame thought they were building something together as equals. Jay was already planning his exit strategy. In 1995, JayZ, Dame Dash, and Kareem Biggs Burke founded Roc-A-Fella Records with one goal: to release Jay's debut album, Reasonable Doubt. But what looked like three friends starting a label was actually the beginning of Jay's most elaborate long-term finesse. Here's how.
Time out. All right, so JayZ, it's a known fact, and if you're from the culture, you would know this, yeah, or depending on the age you are. Let me just put that into real perspective. It's a known fact that JayZ, the album Reasonable Doubt was supposed to be his only album. The whole real goal was to sell the label Roc-A-Fella Records. That was the whole goal. You think I'm playing? That was the whole initial goal. The goal was to sell the label, build up the brand. You know what I mean? Build up the IP, build up the brand, and sell it. There's nothing wrong with that either, by the way. Like, there's literally nothing wrong with it. I think it seemed like we were sold on, or missold on, the idea of the business to be a lasting legacy type of thing. Do you see what I'm trying to say? Because even when I was young, I was thinking the same thing. But the more you do your research, it's the more you start to realize, oh, this is exactly what it is. Do you know what I mean? Like, when you understand what it is, you're out of your feelings. You get out your feelings and be like, this is what it is. It is what it is. No harsh feelings. Do you see what I'm saying? But anyway, let's keep it moving.
How the setup worked. Dame brought the hustle and the connections, Biggs brought the business sense and the calm demeanor, and Jay brought the talent. On paper, it was an equal three-way split. In reality, Jay was positioning himself as the indispensable asset while his partners did the heavy lifting. The genius of the Roc-A-Fella structure was that it gave Jay all the benefits of independence while his partners took all the risks.
I see that image there that they're showing. If you watch that image, tell me something. Would you want to be in a business with someone, yeah, with that type of energy consistently? I understand the narrative. You want to push, because I remember this was the time where Memphis Bleak was where Def Jam gave him was it a varsity jacket, but it had Def Jam on the back or something like that, instead of saying Roc-A-Fella. So obviously it's promoting Def Jam, not Roc-A-Fella Records. So obviously Dame Dash got irate in it, which obviously it's understandable. You can get irate, but, like, you know, there's a way to speak to people to let them understand, listen, this is our business here. You know what I mean? We're the one that put the tour together. We're the ones that did this, blah, 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 blah. But there's a way to speak to people. Like, back then, yeah, I won't lie, I used to find it hilarious. But the older I get, I'm like, come on, man. Like, you gotta learn how to speak to people, like, properly. you know what I mean? Because look where Dame Dash is now. No disrespect, but look at him now. Just saying. Like, anyway,
Dame
let's
was
go.
the one arguing with radio programmers, fighting with distributors, and making enemies in boardrooms. Biggs was
The other person that just showed was Kenyatta Griggs. Look how Dame Dash did Kenyatta Griggs dirty, by the way. Where is Kenyatta Griggs? Where is he, by the way? Does anyone know? Does he still have YouTube content? Because I used to watch that consistently, but I don't even know what happened.
handling the paperwork, managing the money, and dealing with the day-to-day operations. Meanwhile, Jay was in the studio, building his brand and quietly studying how his partners operated so he could eventually operate without them. Reasonable Doubt was released independently in 1996, and while it didn't immediately blow up commercially, it established Jay as a serious lyricist. But more importantly, it proved that the Roc-A-Fella model could work. They had created a successful independent label that could compete with major labels. That success attracted the attention of Def Jam, and this is where Jay's long-term thinking started to pay off. Instead of signing a traditional artist deal, Jay negotiated something unprecedented, a 50-50 partnership between Roc-A-Fella and Def Jam. On the surface, this looked like a win for everyone. Roc-A-Fella got major label distribution and marketing muscle, while Def Jam got access to one of hip-hop's rising stars. But Jay had structured the deal in a way that gave him maximum flexibility for future moves. Dame Dash has said in interviews that he thought they were building a dynasty that would last forever.
Stop that. He thought they were building a dynasty that would last forever. Dame Dash, literally, one of the documentaries, yeah. This is what's so mad. I need people to understand this, yeah. You can hate me for all you want in regards to this actual fact, yeah. Like, even Cameron has mentioned this, who was on Roc-A-Fella Records. Even he has said it. He has said it. He's like, you recorded a documentary you call it the, I'm not gonna say the word, but the of a dynasty. So when you do it with that negative connotation, what do you expect? Like, no, honestly, what do you expect? Like, I'm asking a genuine question. Because if you were to do a documentary, it'd be like, the rise and the fall and the rise again of Roc-A-Fella Records. If he did it that way, maybe there would have been a next generation of Roc-A-Fella Records with Dame Dash, with JayZ and Kareem Burks. Like, maybe, I don't know, but remember what I said. The whole idea initially was to build up the brand IP and then sell it. So just bear that in mind. Now, maybe in hindsight, Dame Dash thought maybe he wanted to do that, but he was outvoted because it's 3-2. It's 3-1. Sorry, 2-1. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know the meetings that they had together to, you know what I mean? But you obviously have to sit on the board to vote. But if you understand certain level of business, you will understand what I'm talking about. But anyway, let's keep it moving.
Envisioned Roc-A-Fella as hip-hop's version of Motown, with multiple generations of artists building wealth together. Jay,
I mean, that's a good question. What is the hip hop's Motown? One would argue that is Def Jam, technically, right? Because under Def Jam, obviously you have Roc-A-Fella Records, or had Roc-A-Fella Records. Then you also had what else was there? There was no, not So Def. There was what was Ludacris's one? Ludacris is Ludacris one was Disturbing the Peace. I think Eric Sermon had something on there as well. There was a number of affiliated record labels under Def Jam. Like, I remember it, like, and the logos cold. But anyway, let's keep it moving.
Was already planning how to take it all for himself. The first sign of trouble came during the Hard Knock Life era in 1998. The album was a massive success, going multi-platinum and establishing Jay as a mainstream star. But instead of celebrating with his partners, Jay started making moves that would benefit him individually. He began building relationships with Def Jam executives behind Dame's back. He started positioning himself as the reasonable partner who could work within the corporate structure, while Dame was painted as the difficult one who caused problems. This wasn't...
Okay, hear me out, yeah? I need to understand why, or not why, but let's ask the question of, how do you know this? Because on the outside looking in, we could say, oh, it looks like that. And from hearing from, if your source is Dame Dash, I'm sorry, but you're just going to have to take that with a pinch of salt and a pinch of sugar. All right, listen, you're just going to have to take it with a, that is what it is, all right? You have to take it with a pinch of salt, pinch of sand, whatever. Yeah, just, yeah. Because obviously, yeah, he's there, but that's, yeah, meetings could be taking place where one individual goes and the other individual isn't there. Have you heard Kareem Bigsburg ever speak about this whole situation? I've heard Pim from him, not Pim, but he still somehow still works with JayZ, with Roc Nation. The hat design and stuff like that, paper plane. If you know, you know. He also come up with the design. I think there was something else that he dealt with. I forgot what it was. But anyway, that aside, the point I'm trying to make is you have to understand where this source is coming from, and I want to know where this is coming from. That's what all my question is. How do you know this information? Was you there? Did JayZ say it?
accidental. Jay understood that in any partnership, the person who controls the relationships with outside power brokers eventually controls the partnership itself. While Jay was positioning himself for his eventual takeover, he was simultaneously building a system that...
By the way, I didn't nearly just remember. Steve Stout. Now I don't know when they found out I don't know when JayZ and Steve Stout found out they were cousins. But one could argue that maybe Steve Stout said, listen, you seem to be more level-headed and more calm. I would rather do business with you or this, that, and the... Like, it could be one of them ones. Do you understand? Sometimes someone could pull you aside and be like, listen, I only want to deal with you, like you and Kareem. I want to deal with you two, not Dame. I don't want to deal with Dame Dash. Like, and for obvious reasons or whatever. Do you see what I'm saying? And they'd be like, all right, cool. You know what I mean? You're gonna feel a way about it, but do you know what I mean? And if they set up meetings, you don't want to miss the meeting. You're still representing the brand anyway. Do you understand? Like, does everyone because do every founder have to literally go to the meeting? Obviously, if decisions are being made about an artist in this particular case, then yeah, not even maybe, yeah. Do you understand? Because you need to understand, especially when it comes to the final product of releasing an album or releasing a project or anything of that nature, then yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? But if it's anything else, you don't need all three of them there. One would do. I'll give you an example. Just one example, we'll continue. Gene Dill, I know Gene Dill basically was saying that there was meant to be like a peace agreement thing or something. I forgot, and they were trying to build something. I think Tupac, not just Tupac, I think Suge Knight, someone else, forgot who it was. But anyway, they're saying that Diddy didn't have to go for himself. If he didn't want to go, he could get someone else from Bad Boy Entertainment to represent, but he declined. That's what I'm trying to say, because maybe he could have signed off and said, you know what, Kurt Burrows, you go instead. Do you understand? Or one of his assistants, or you know what I mean, just to go as a representation. But anyway, let's keep it moving.
That would exploit young artists for decades. The Roc-A-Fella roster became a case study in how to extract maximum value from talent while giving minimal returns. Let's start with Beanie Sigel, one of the most talented rappers ever signed to the label. Beans was...
Stop right there. Beanie Sigel, Beanie Siegel, like one of the greatest lyricists from Philly. Get me? I can feel it in the air. I listen. That's a tune. Till this day, that tune used to run college all day. Nah. Anyway, because that was on everybody's phone. Everybody's phone. Anyway, all right, let's look. Anyway, Beanie Siegel, obviously. All right, so yeah, Beanie Siegel obviously is one of those individuals, yeah, that was signed to the Roc-A-Fella Records. If I remember correctly, in fact, he got an interview with Art of the Dialogue. So let's do this. Let's react to his interview at a later stage, like another time. So stay tuned for that, and then we can hear from his own words, yeah, on how he felt about certain situations and what the situation is. Because it didn't help with him consistently going to jail, by the way. Just saying.
Was discovered by Jay in Philadelphia, and his raw
He wasn't discovered by JayZ. He wasn't discovered by JayZ. Anyway.
talent was undeniable, but the contract he signed was structured to benefit Roc-A-Fella far more than it benefited him. According to industry insiders, Beanie's deal was a standard 360 contract, meaning Roc-A-Fella took a percentage of everything: album sales, touring, merchandise, even appearance fees. But here's the kicker: the percentage.
Here's the kicker: 360 deals didn't exist until eventually, what, 2009, 2010 maybe? Just saying. And the reason why I know this is because Leo Cohen, yeah, who allegedly, he said this himself, like allegedly, he literally, from what I recall in one interview, he mentioned that the music industry was changing. And so it's about trying to find a way like to maximize earnings from artists or something like that. I can't remember the words verbatim, but I remember him saying something of a sort, because it just made me realize it kind of makes sense for him to come up with such deal. And if we're talking about an industry insider, who's the industry insider? Listen, again, I know some people may hate JayZ, but let's just deal with facts. Let's find out who, why, how. Most importantly, who? Who's your source in regards to this? That's what I want to know.
Percentages were heavily weighted toward the label, and the recoupment terms were designed to keep artists in debt. Beanie Siegel has spoken publicly about how his album, The Truth, should have made him wealthy, but instead he barely saw any money from it. The album was critically acclaimed and commercially successful, but after recoupment, marketing costs, and label fees, Beanie's share was minimal. This wasn't an accident or poor management. It was the system working exactly as designed. Memphis Bleek, despite being Jay's childhood friend, got an even worse deal. Bleek was essentially used as a hype man and opening act for Jay's tours, but his solo career was never given the marketing support it needed to succeed. When Bleek's albums underperformed, it was blamed on his lack of talent rather than the label's lack of investment.
All right, listen. This is just poor. Let me just use the word journalism. This is very poor journalism, because the reality is, yeah, let's just deal with facts. Beanie Siegel was literally going in and out of jail. That actually postponed the amount of reach he could have had and the amount of money he could have made. Plus, remember, he's in the movie. He had the clothing label with State Property. Yeah, do you understand? The clothing label with State Property, which Dame Dash is the genius behind. Yeah, bear that in mind. So if you're gonna blame JayZ, blame Dame Dash too. Is that not a fair assessment to make? If you're gonna blame JayZ, blame Dame Dash too. Because at the end of the day, when push comes to shove, like you, and also then you also got to blame Kareem Biggs Burke as well, because like I said, there's the clothing the music, but then also not only is there the touring where that's
But the most telling example is
but yeah, not only is it the music, it's also the clothing and the movie as well. So you telling me you couldn't make money from that as well? Come on, man.
Kanye West. Kanye was producing hits for Jay and other Roc-A-Fella artists, but when he wanted to rap, he was repeatedly told no. Jay and
Let's not do this. It was Dame Dash that was consistently telling him no. If you've seen that documentary with who was it again? I can't remember. Um oh, I can't remember the name. There was two names that were prominent in that documentary, but basically it wasn't JayZ telling him no. It was literally Dame Dash. He was only seeing him as a music producer and not an artist. It happened to be that JayZ put him on his album, like as a rapper. JayZ gave him an opportunity. JayZ passed in the ball. You know what I mean? Or if you're a basketball fan, get me. If you're a football fan or soccer fan, he gave him that assist, that Cesc Fabregas type of assist that's getting you goals. You know what I mean? He gave him that through ball. You understand? Like, yeah, I'm using sports analogy, so I don't need to say pause or did he. But yeah, let's keep it moving.
Dame didn't see Kanye as rapper material. They wanted to keep him behind the boards making beats. Kanye has talked about how he had to essentially force his way into a rap career by creating Through the Wire and building buzz independently. Even then, his deal with Roc-A-Fella was structured as a producer-first contract, meaning his rap career was treated as a side project. The pattern was clear. Roc-A-Fella would sign talented artists, extract their best work, and then limit their ability to build independent wealth or leverage. Artists were kept dependent on the label for everything from studio time to promotional support. Meanwhile, Jay was building his own independent revenue streams through endorsement deals, business ventures, and strategic partnerships that his label mates weren't privy to. Cameron and the Diplomats represent another level of the exploitation. Cam was brought in as an established artist with his own following, but his Roc-A-Fella deal was structured to give the label ownership of his masters while limiting his creative control. When Cam tried to assert more independence, he was
I need to hear Cameron speak on this because I doubt that's true. Do you know why I doubt that's true? Because despite the disrespect, yeah, that Dame Dash has given him, he's always given Dame Dash his respect. Now, yes, he may have had his disputes with JayZ, but again, he also gives JayZ his respects and props as well. So much to the point where Memphis Bleak ended up being on one of his shows in 2025. Bear that in mind. Now, Cameron is, if everyone wants to say that 50 Cent is petty, yeah, he's petty, but Cameron is petty. You understand? So, and I don't want to say I know because I don't know him personally, at least not yet, but like to me, he seemed like the type of individual that if you are going to hold him back from making money properly and you're from the same state like Harlem or is that state, let me know in the comments below. But if you're both from the same region, yeah, and God said and you known each other for a long time prior to, you know what I mean, prior to being signed, then let me know. Like how would you feel it personally? Wouldn't you would take it personal? You're holding me back for making money? Oh, you is bargain. Let's go.
marginalized within the label structure. His albums received less promotion, his tour support was reduced, and eventually
Okay, they're talking a load of rubbish. Album support was less promotion. I've never seen anybody have a run like Dipset, especially Cameron, on Roc-A-Fella Records. I promise you, there is no great. Leave your answer in the comment section below. Who do you reckon had the best level of promotion in Roc-A-Fella Records? Like, who do you reckon? Just put your answer in the comment section below because one could say JayZ, yeah, and yeah, you couldn't argue, cool. But aside from JayZ, who else is there? definitely Cameron. Joel Santana said 2 time for Cam taking over the Rock. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's our year. Or something more like that. I can't remember the words verbatim, allow me in it. But like I remember, listen, the reason why I'm because the promotion, you gotta remember, I'm hearing about this while I'm in the UK. You understand? Until I heard about the situation, we won't talk. We'll talk about the Soul Sorted versus Dipset another time for another day. That's for another. You know what I'm saying? So stay tuned for that. But the point I'm trying to make is, with Dipset, they had a good run. They had a good run. They were promoted extremely well. Like you cannot even deny it.
He
Let's
was
go.
pushed out entirely. The genius of Jay's system was that it appeared to be standard industry practice. Every label had similar contracts, every artist complained about similar issues, but Jay was using his position.
Okay, hear me out. What artists on Roc-A-Fella Records have complained about their contract or their situation at Roc-A-Fella Records? I haven't heard anybody really complain. And don't say Kanye, because Kanye is an anomaly. You know why I say Kanye is an anomaly? Because he was still ended up being super highly successful anyway. But so if you think about the question of the artists that were disgusted with their deal, realizing they were gone dirty, who? Let me know. I can't even think of any. I I promise you I can't think of any. And maybe I'm wrong, but let's go.
As both artist and executive to ensure that he got the best deals while his label mates got the industry standard. The destruction of Dame Dash represents the masterpiece of Jay-Z's finesse career. This wasn't just a business disagreement between partners. It was a calculated dismantling of the man who had helped build Jay's empire. And to understand how devastating this betrayal was, you have to understand what Dame Dash brought to Roc-A-Fella. Dame wasn't just a co-founder, he was the engine that made everything work. While Jay was the talent and Biggs was the business mind, Dame was the one who fought for every deal, every opportunity.
Okay, this just sound like as a Dame Dash appreciation type of video that hates Jay-Z basically. That's what it looks like to me. Um and I'm not sorry about this, yeah, because you have to take like Dame Dash has to take accountability for his own actions and own inactions, yeah, because the reality is, again, when you are dealing with other individuals, you cannot speak to people in a brash and harsh way like he consistently was doing. Now, also, let's take into consideration Jay-Z was not just the talent, he was also the business partner as well. Yeah. Think about this properly, right? Which artist will start a label and oh no, which individuals will start a label and you think about the talent they have in terms of who's good at what, blah blah blah. But then if one of them is good at being a rapper, for example, in this case Jay-Z, are you telling me he's just a talent? And I think that's where the misinterpretation always comes in. It's the fact that some people unfortunately believe he's just a talent. He basically snaked everyone, blah blah blah. But I'm sorry, you don't get into the position he did without understanding your position as a human being and understand your position in your career and knowing what you want. If the whole idea was to build a brand or and build the record label and sell it, then who was done dirty? And then if it destroyed Dame Dash, how comes Dame Dash has started his own organizations after? Like, I think he had the art gallery, um, he had, I think he got a thing called CEO as well. Like, he started his other businesses outside of that American New Network or something like that. He has started his own organizations. Rachel Ray Clothing. He started his own organizations outside of Roc-A-Fella once it ended. So you can't say JayZ destroyed him. That's a deplorable and disgusting thing to say. Personally, you can't be saying that, because if he wasn't successful and didn't do anything, then again, as a man and as a human being, as an adult, you have to be accountable for your own actions. If you feel like you were supposed to be at a certain level, blah blah blah, that's just your perception. That's your perception. Deal with your reality to be able to create the reality that you ultimately want to have. But deal with the facts that some things you can change and some things you can't change. That's just life. But anyway, let's
every
go.
dollar. Dame was the one who convinced radio stations to play Jay's music when nobody knew who he was. Dame was the one who negotiated with distributors, fought with record executives, and built the relationships that made Roc-A-Fella successful. But Dame's
Yeah, because he
aggressive
was the
style,
manager.
which had been an asset in the early days, became a liability as Roc-A-Fella grew. Corporate executives at Def Jam and Universal found Dame difficult to work with. His confrontational approach and refusal to compromise made him enemies in boardrooms across the industry.
Exactly, his confrontational approach. So whose fault is it? Is it JayZ's fault? Do you understand? Whose fault is it? Is it JayZ's fault? Or is it Dame Dash's fault? Because there comes a time in life where you have to take accountable for your own actions. I'm not sorry about this. That's wisdom. And if you want more wisdom, go to the link in the pinned comments, and you will see that after the live is done and all that stuff there, you'll see a link in the pinned comments, and there's a book on wisdom with 365 days worth of wisdom. Yeah. Go purchase yours. Yes, I'll get small commission. Hey, listen, I'm trying to make money like JayZ and that. Well, not money like JayZ, but let's just say I'm trying to make as much money as JayZ's alleged net worth. Do you know what I mean? Which is billions in dollars. Get me? I want to clarify. Yeah, because you can say billions in pounds, and guess what happens? Like billions in pounds is different to billions in dollars and different currencies. Yeah, me, but that's sad. Let's keep it moving.
Jay saw this as an opportunity. Starting around 2002, Jay began having secret meetings with Def Jam executives. These weren't just
How you know it's a secret? How you know we had a secret meeting? Who told you? Where did that information come from? How did you gather that information? Just asking questions.
casual conversations. They were strategic sessions designed to position Jay as the reasonable alternative to Dame's chaos.
As the alternative, why wasn't it not Kareem Biggs Burke then? Because he's also got that cool, calm demeanor, right? He's less chaotic. He's less confrontational. Listen, I'm telling you, the maths is not mathing. It's not. Like I'm just thinking about logically. I'm like, wait. This don't make sense. How can you spin the narrative to say they're trying to see JayZ as more person to speak to? And then also, let's put this into perspective. He's an artist. So with artists, usually, and I'm just using the word usually, they don't see them as someone to go to unless they want to exploit. And I'm using that term exploit because I understand the meaning of that. They try to find a way to exploit that artist. So unless it was that, maybe. If it's not that, then why not Kareem Biggs Burke? No one asks these questions, or maybe they do, but I'm asking these questions. Let's go. Make sure you share this, by the way. Let's go.
From Dame and Biggs, which should have been a red flag. In any legitimate partnership, major strategic discussions would include all partners. But Jay was already operating as if he owned Roc-A-Fella outright. The first public sign of trouble came during the filming of the Big Pimpin' video. Dame had arranged for the video to be shot on a yacht, but when they arrived, Jay announced that he had made other arrangements. Dame was publicly embarrassed in front of the crew, and the incident was captured on camera. This wasn't just a creative disagreement, it was Jay asserting dominance and showing Dame that his authority could be overruled at any time. The situation escalated during the recording of the Black Album in 2003. Jay announced that this would be his final
I dropped the Black album and I backed out it as the best rapper alive. But what's it? Wait. I know it. I dropped the Black album and what's it? I dropped the Black album and I backed out it as the best rapper alive. Ninja asks about me from bricks to billboards. Hey, listen. Listen. If you hate on JayZ, yeah, you can may hate on his personality because you may not understand him or know him personally. Alright, cool, whatever. But his music, come on, man. That guy is a lyricist. But anyway, forget all that. Yeah, it's making me realize I'm gonna have to react to some more JayZ. Well, I say more. I haven't even reacted to his videos yet, like that. So I need to react to his videos, and I want to react to behind the scenes of Big Pimpin' spending cheese. Hey, listen. Yeah, man. Also, I think another reason why some people don't like JayZ, yeah, I just clocked it. I just realized, and I should have said it at the beginning, but I just remembered Tupac. The only reason when he didn't like the reason why Tupac didn't like JayZ was collateral. You know why I say JayZ was collateral? It's because of Biggie. Because Biggie dissed Tupac on a JayZ joint on Brooklyn's Finest. If you know, you know. Where he says, where Biggie goes, if Faith had twins, she would have two parks. Get it? Two parks, because at that time, I think Faith was, I think she was pregnant. I think was she pregnant with twins or something? I can't remember the full story, but yeah, you know what I'm saying. It's like it may seem like it's a inside joke or whatever the case may be, where Biggie's just brushing off the rumors, and I think some people don't clock it because some people feel like, oh, Biggie never just did Tupac. He was trying to stay out of it. No, that's where you're wrong, and we'll get into that. Yeah, we will get into that. But aside from that, it's the same thing that 50 Cent did, yeah, when he was dissing Ja Rule. Yeah. Ja Rule did a song with Fat Joe and Jadakiss. So I had to. I got 100 clips. Nigga, I'm from New York. Hey, that's the tune, I can't lie. But anyway, and it's so mad when I deep it. Jadakiss and Fat Joe actually have a podcast. Hey yo, I'm just deep in it now. Sorry, I'm just having that moment where you just realize, wait a minute, they actually have a podcast together. That's mad. But anyway, what was I saying? I forgot what I was trying to say, but anyway, yeah, so the only reason why 50 Cent this Fat Joe and this Jadakiss is because they were helping Ja Rule, basically. And then you get that infamous video with well, yeah, in the video, they were 50 Cent was implying that Fat Joe was obviously fat. I mean, yeah, come on. And then Jadakiss at that time was also fat as well. Like, this is how the beef started between those two. Well, I think it might have started a bit earlier, but if memory serves me correctly, that's what I remember where it started. And I could be wrong on the facts, but from my understanding, from the age I'm at, in terms of, you know what I'm saying? Because, yeah, it's mad when you deep it. And look, they've squashed their beef to the point where Tony Yayo, yeah, was on a podcast with Fat Joe and Jadakiss, and they were literally reminiscing on the past beef that they had. Yeah, to the point they mentioned about Young Buck. Fat Joe mentioned Young Buck to the point where Young Buck is making a diss song to Fat Joe. It's mad. In 2025. If I was to tell you that in 2025, you wouldn't believe me. It was in 2004. No, let's say 2007. Yeah, you wouldn't believe me if that would happen in 2025. You wouldn't believe me. You just wouldn't believe me. You would think I'm insane. But anyway, let's keep it moving.
Album, and that he was retiring from rap to focus on business. But instead of discussing this decision with his partners, Jay made the announcement unilaterally. Dame found out about Jay's retirement plans the same way everyone else did, through the media, but the retirement announcement was just the setup for the real finesse.
How many times are we going to say this? Jay-Z's initial plan in the first place was to only do one album. The fact that he was able to do several other albums is a blessing in itself. Do you understand? And not only that, it helped the label. Do you understand? It helped the label. So what do you want him to do? What do you want him to just be? And here's the thing: do you really think he made a business decision by himself and said, you know what, I retire. That's it. I quit. Of course, he didn't do that abruptly. He didn't. Of course, there were discussions behind the scenes. Now, whether I don't know, again, where I don't know where the source is coming from. If it's from Dame Dash is going to say whatever he wants to say. Yeah, Dame Dash also is the same one who said that he owns the IP to or something like that, the IP to Paid in Full, and then look, now 50 Cent owns the IP to Paid in Full, to the point where there's a TV series coming out. Then he said, oh, the documentary, that Diddy documentary that 50 Cent's doing, oh, it's not happening, blah blah blah. Where's the documentary? Oh, lo and behold, the documentary is now out. My reaction to that's also on the channel, by the way. I'm not saying that Dame Dash is a liar. I'm just saying he's a liar. No, I'm playing. I'm not look, I'm not saying he's a liar. I'm just saying follow everything he says in terms of understand what he says and then see things for yourself. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And if you have to kind of do more research, do more research. It's simple. The point when he even said that he owned, like he's gonna do a 30-day owning of Revolt or something like the chairman of Revolt. Like, what are we doing here? He wasn't like, and then Vibe magazine tried to put up the article, and then only for the Revolt owner, was it the owner or someone else? I can't remember who it is from Revolt. They said that's a lie. And yeah, he wanted to show Dame Dash wanted to show text that there was conversation, but I'm sorry, a conversation doesn't mean there's a contractual agreement in place. I'm sorry. Dame Dash, out of all people, should know that. You may have an idea, yeah? You may have an idea of what you want to do. You may have a conversation like in text form with other people and with the people that you want to do business with, but it doesn't mean it's a contractual agreement. It's just facts. All right. Doesn't matter what country is in. That's just facts. Let's go.
While Dame thought Jay was stepping back from music to focus on Roc-A-Fella, Jay was actually negotiating his own exit strategy. In 2004, the bomb dropped. Def Jam announced that they had purchased the remaining 50% of Roc-A-Fella Records for $10 million, and that JayZ would be named president of Def Jam. Dame learned about the sale the same way he learned about the retirement, through the media.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap. Stop the cap. No way. No, I'm not having that. Dame Dash already knew of the deal. Dame Dash was part of the deal. Kareem Biggs Burke was also part of the agreement of the selling of the rest of the 50% of Roc-A-Fella Records to Def Jam. You think I'm lying? Listen, he knew. You can't act like he didn't know. You can't act like this was just a thing where JayZ did this all like, I'm trying to think of a word for it, where he blindsided his business partners or anything like that. Because you can't do that in the first place. Do you know why you can't do that in the first place? It's because it's one thing to do a business meeting, hold a business meeting and bypass your other two business partners to be able to say, you know what, let's agree this deal or this budgeting for this artist. That's one thing. Yeah. Now that could be shady practices. Who knows? I don't know. But either way, if it is shady, at least it's going to be in the contract. Everything's there on paperwork. So if the entertainment law wants to sort it out, they sort it out. But the point I'm trying to make is this. As far as selling a business, yeah, selling a business, especially for that amount, I'm telling you, Kareem Bigsburg and Dame Dash, yeah, aka Lame Dash. Let me correct his name, Lame Dash. Yeah, actually, let me not assault the guy. I apologize. Get me, Dame Dash. Like they knew they had to be involved. They literally have to sign off. Why do you think? Yeah, for example, um, the ownership of Rockefeller, for Reasonable Doubt, yeah. Who owns that? Think about it properly. Who owns it? You would think JayZ would be the ones to own it, right? Wrong. Try again. He doesn't own it outright. And that's his debut album. But guess who owns it with him? Dame Dash and also Kareem Bigsburg. I'm going to repeat that again. Dame Dash and Kareem Bigsburg also own Reasonable Doubt. That album. So let that sink in for a moment. And to the point where JayZ, not JayZ, Dame Dash had to file for bankruptcy, not not what chapter was it again? I'm trying to remember the chapter. Hold on, let me just double check the chapter because I want to get this completely right. Chapter 11 versus chapter 7. Okay, so chapter 7 and chapter 11 are both US bankruptcy options, but they are serve fundamentally different purposes. Chapter 7 is a liquidation process, while chapter 11 is a reorganization process. So now, just to elaborate even further, it's Dame Dash that filed for a chapter 7 bankruptcy. Yeah. He filed for a chapter 7 bankruptcy, and one of the assets he owns is Reasonable Doubt, well, a third of it, and he didn't want to sell that. I think JayZ and Kareem Bigsburg offered a certain amount of money. I think Cameron mentioned it on his podcast, and he declined when he needed the money. When Dame Dash needed the money, he declined. So what's the point of having assets if you're in debt and you're not willing to sell off that asset? All right, cool, understandable, because you may have a level of emotional attachment to it. Do you understand? Because this is something you helped build and made your name. Like, it would make sense. It's understandable. But if you got other assets, which I know he must have other assets. It's Dame Dash. Do you know what I mean? Come on, man. But anyway, now it says here, Chapter 7 liquidation primary goal to sell non-exempt assets to pay creditors and discharge remaining debts. That's the whole point. Chapter 11, the primary goal is a reorganization to restructure debts and operations to continue running the business and repay creditors. All right. Now, over time. Now, who files it? Chapter 7, most common for individuals with low income. Let me repeat this one more time. Chapter 7, the person who files it is most common for individuals with low income or businesses that are shutting down. That's Dame Dash, unfortunately. Chapter 11, primarily for corporations and partnerships, but also for individuals with very high debt, loads who don't qualify for Chapter 13. Wait, I don't know how many chapters there are, but this is interesting. But the point I'm trying to make is, the point I'm trying to make is, at the end of the day, this is what he filed for. Dame Dash filed for Chapter 7. 50 Cent, on the other hand, and even Donald Trump on multiple different occasions has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Because I remember what Dame Dash tried to put in an interview. Oh, well, Donald Trump does it. He does it. Well, no, there's a difference. He files for Chapter 11. You know what I mean? Whereas you're filing for Chapter 7. There's a major difference. A major difference. And listen, this ain't to say that, get me, Donald Trump is Donald Trump, in it. What can I say? He has more failed businesses than successful ones, which is what I found out recently. But we'll get to that for another day, for another topic. But let's keep moving. Let's go.
Media. But here's where the finesse gets truly diabolical. Jay had structured the sale so that he would become Dame's boss. The man who had helped build Roc-A-Fella from nothing would
Boss? Okay.
now have to report to his former partner. Dame's reaction was predictable. He refused to work under Jay and demanded to be bought out of his remaining stake in the company. Jay agreed, but the buyout terms were structured to minimize Dame's payout while maximizing Jay's control. Dame sold his stake in Roc-A-Ware for $22 million, thinking he was getting a fair deal. A year later, Jay sold the entire Roc-A-Ware brand for $204 million. If Dame had held on to his stake,
I swear they both sold it together. This is just from what I remember, and maybe he could be right, I could be wrong, but I remember they sold Roc-A-Ware together, and then I think like a year later or 2 years later, JayZ brought it back, and I was like, "Yo, that's mad." If there's anything that looks more mad, that was mad. Do you understand? That's understandable, and if you can hate someone for that, alright, cool, whatever. But that's what I can get from that. You understand? Yeah. But let's go.
he would have been worth at least $50 million more. But the most devastating part of the betrayal was personal. Dame and Jay had been friends for over a decade. They had built something together from nothing, survived industry politics, and
Here's the thing. I don't think they were ever friends. Friends is a very, very strong word. Like a very, very strong word. I don't think they were friends. They were just business partners. And let me tell you why I believe that, right? If you look at the infrastructure of Roc Nation, and we'll get into that for another day here, but if we look into that, you're going to find that it's his friends and family that work for that organization, right? These are his day ones. Dame Dash was never his day one. I know it may seem that way based on the fact that JayZ became successful on a music level and based because of the help of Dame Dash and also the help of Kareem Biggs Buck. Kareem Biggs Buck is still there to a degree. He's still doing his individual thing. You know what I mean? Still signing talents like St. John and all those people there as well. But like when you think about it, let's be real. They were never friends. Okay, yeah, he's what son is that? My son sells cookies. Sorry, I'm just trying to remember. I can't remember his name. One of his sons. Yeah, JayZ is the godfather of, and one could argue, well, why would you be friends with someone if they're not? I don't know. Let's go.
created a cultural movement. Jay threw all of that away for corporate positioning and personal wealth. Dame Dash has never recovered from the betrayal, financially or emotionally. He spent the last 20 years fighting lawsuits, struggling with debt, and watching Jay build a billion-dollar empire with the foundation that Dame helped create. While the Dame Dash situation was playing out publicly, JayZ was executing an even more sophisticated scheme behind the scenes. The systematic acquisition of master recordings that would form the foundation of his billion-dollar empire. Understanding master ownership is crucial to understanding how Jay finessed the entire industry. When an artist records a song, there are two main revenue streams: the publishing, the songwriting, and the masters, the actual recording. Whoever owns the masters controls how the music is used, licensed, and monetized forever. In traditional record deals, artists sign away their masters in exchange for advances and promotional support. The label owns the recordings, and the artist gets a small percentage of the revenue. This system has kept artists poor while making label executives rich for decades. But Jay understood something that most artists didn't. The real money wasn't in being an artist, it was in owning the masters. His first move was securing ownership of his own masters through the Def Jam deal. When Jay became president of Def Jam, part of his compensation package included the rights to his future recordings. This meant that every album he released after 2004 would be owned by him, not the label. But that was just the beginning. Jay also negotiated to acquire the masters of other Roc-A-Fella artists, often without their knowledge or consent. Beanie Siegel has spoken about discovering that Jay owned his masters years after signing his deal. Beans thought he was signing with Roc-A-Fella Records, but the fine print revealed that his masters would be owned by a JayZ entity. This wasn't.
I mean, he could. I don't. You know what? I want to be very careful when I want to say it. He could be right, could be wrong. Don't know. But I will say we will react to Beanie Siegel's full interview on the art of that dialogue, and he will speak on if he speaks on it, he speaks on it. If he doesn't, he doesn't. But yeah, and essentially, regardless, yeah, if you're a music artist, that's what tends to happen. Depending on the deal you sign with, you actually sign off your mark. Like it's the record label that owns the masters, and the publishing side of it. Naturally, sometimes it's the record label that owns part of the publishing, or you go to a different publishing house and you own a percentage of that publishing. It all varies. All that matters is knowledge. The more knowledge you have of something in regards to business or like any sector, the more leverage you will have and the more power and control you will have. Do you get it? So if JayZ, not just JayZ, but if a record label was to have ownership of your masters, then that's on you, innit? Like, look at Taylor Swift, bruv. Like, look what she's doing. We may clown her and say, oh, she's recording another version of her album, but there's a reason why she's doing it. Do you get it? And I don't think she's doing it anymore because I think she's at the point where she's able to. I think she owns the rest of her masters now and stuff like that in future works. But yeah, we may clown her, but she's literally doing the right. She's literally doing the right thing by her, doing right by her. Do you understand? Regardless of what you may think or feel about Taylor Swift, every artist should do the same thing, but they're not.
Illegal. It was all in the contracts, but it was deceptive because young artists trusted Jay as a mentor and fellow artist, not realizing he was operating as a label executive who would profit from their work forever.
Let's put this into perspective. JayZ was also part owner of Roc-A-Fella Records. Therefore, he's also an executive. Therefore, he's going to benefit from other artists naturally. I know it sounds like it's something, maybe it may sound deplorable, but let's think about the harsh facts. That's it. If he was just because you know what it is, like I said earlier, it may seem like he was just a talent, but he was never just the talent. And once you understand that, then you will understand, oh, JayZ ain't really doing these snaky moves. He's just a businessman. Get me? I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman. So let me handle my business. Damn. It's not a JayZ bar from Diamonds Are Forever. Get me? For a minute, I thought Sierra Leone was just playing just now, but they're not. Anyway, so look, let's keep it moving.
The Memphis Bleek situation is even more egregious. As Jay's childhood friend, Bleek trusted him completely. His contract was structured so that Jay personally owned Bleek's masters, meaning that every time Bleek's music was played, licensed, or sold, Jay got paid. Bleek has never spoken publicly about the financial details of his deal, but industry insiders estimate.
Stop it. If Memphis Bleek has not spoken on it, and you're talking about industry insiders, that must mean it must be that he's entertainment lawyer that is speaking on it. Because who else is going to know the structure of the deal other than the business? He's entertainment lawyer, and obviously JayZ and everyone else. Like, I need you to understand what I'm saying here, yeah? Because you have to think, yeah, that the reality of business is signing contracts. Yeah, if you sign a contract and you have an attorney present and they go through it with you and you understand it at that point in time, I'm going to use that word because there are some cases where you feel like you may understand it at that point in time, but then later on, or even if you feel like you do understand it, but your lawyer is saying no, this is not a good thing, but you still sign it anyway. Let's use the Shawn Combs, the Reckon documentary as an example. Brooklyn Babs said she was given like a thick contract to sign, yeah, and she was meant to sign it within 24 hours, yeah, and basically, the whole point was her lawyer said that they're offering you fame, but not necessarily the fortune. She still signed anyway. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Now, as far as Memphis Bleek is concerned, him and JayZ, the way he speaks of JayZ is always highly. Yeah, he is JayZ's Tony Ayo, basically. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I mean. And so yeah, it's like obviously they know each other from like prior to the music. You know what I mean? They lived in the same block. You know what I'm trying to say? They lived in us, and plus he's younger as well. So you have to put things into perspective. Now, again, he's an executive, so therefore, as an executive, what's he gonna do? He's going to do obviously what is right by him. But then he literally did say that Bleek is in his, you know what I mean, in his will, and basically will always be a millionaire, basically. So you're telling me that JayZ is doing Bleek wrong? You have no idea. And if Method Bleek, like I said, if Method Bleek is not talking on it or hasn't talked on it, and then you're saying an insider or someone from the inside, that must mean that someone on the inside has to be the entertainment lawyer that helped Memphis Bleek sign a contract. Let's go.
That Jay has made millions from Bleek's catalog, while Bleek himself has struggled financially. But the most sophisticated...
Bleek has struggled financially. Are you sure? Are you sure? Go watch his current podcast. I forgot what it's called now. What's his podcast called? I forgot what it's called. Rock Solid. Yeah, see, it's an leverage of Roc-A-Fella Records, leverage of Roc Nation. Yeah, you're telling me he's financially not doing well? Are you sure? Listen, unless you're his accountant and he's and you have his bank account details, fair enough. But if you don't, let's be quiet on that. You know what I mean?
Sophisticated master acquisition came through Jay's position at Def Jam. As president, Jay had access to the label's entire catalog and the ability to structure deals that would benefit him personally. When young artists like Rihanna were signed to Def Jam during Jay's tenure, their master ownership was structured through complex corporate entities that Jay had influence over. While these artists became global superstars, the long-term ownership of their early work was controlled by systems that Jay had helped design. The genius of this approach was that it appeared to be standard industry practice. Every label structure deals this way. Every executive had similar arrangements. But Jay was using his unique position as both artist and executive to ensure master ownership at an unprecedented scale. By 2008, when Jay left Def Jam to start Roc Nation, he had assembled a master catalog worth hundreds of millions of dollars. This wasn't just his own music, it was the work of dozens of artists who had trusted him as a mentor, partner, or friend. The catalog became the foundation of his billion-dollar empire, generating passive income that allowed him to make increasingly aggressive business moves without financial risk. The most insidious aspect of JayZ's rise to billionaire status wasn't what he did illegally. It was how he used legal contracts to systematically disadvantage everyone who worked with him. This represents perhaps the most sophisticated form of industry manipulation ever executed by a single individual. The foundation of Jay's contractual deception was his understanding that most artists, especially young ones, don't read or understand the legal documents they sign. They trust their lawyers, their managers, and most importantly, they trust the person offering them the deal. Jay exploited that trust ruthlessly. Let's examine the standard Roc-A-Fella artist contract, which became the template for how Jay would structure deals throughout his career. On the surface, these contracts look similar to other label deals.
Hang on, I'm trying. There's a misconception here, and you see one of those misconceptions there. One of those misconceptions is saying that obviously young artists don't read contracts or understand the contracts. But obviously, like I said, if the entertainment lawyer is involved, then they will understand the contract. And like the example I gave with Brooklyn Babs, that is a similar situation. And obviously, if someone is, you can argue and say, yeah, they're in a desperate situation, they're going to sign. Yeah, that naturally does unfortunately happen. But as far as this JayZ situation, the way it seems like, oh, well, it's not fair. JayZ's an artist as well. How comes he gets to own the other artist masters, blah, blah, blah? I'm sorry. At the end of the day, the game's the game. I'm not siding with JayZ in this respect. I'm just saying the game is the game. You understand? That's why I say knowledge is power. Knowledge is key. That's the foundation. Now, again, you can argue and say, and here's the thing, like, I don't know the real facts of whether that's the foundation to his billions, because again, we'll get into that another day for another subject. Yeah, but obviously, owning your masters is a great thing. Owning publishing is a great thing because no one dis. It's funny, yeah, because obviously masters and publishing are two different things, yeah, but no one disrespects Michael Jackson when he literally owned. Well, the people that did disrespect him was mainstream media, but as far as other individuals that you're seeing online that are hating on JayZ and stuff like that, they it's like they praise Michael Jackson because it's like, raw, he owned the Beatles. You know what I mean? He owned it. I don't know why some of you say the Beatles like that, like the Beatles, like the Beatles, isn't it? Like he owned like several artists. When I say several, basically half the industry. He owned half the industry, music publishing. And what's mad is with music publishing, it's the way that he's able to leverage that to continue to build a lot of his assets. And today, not even today, like it was his estate. Unfortunately, they sold it for a lot of profit, like a lot of profit. I still believe it was worth more. I still believe that Michael Jackson would have never sold it if he was alive. And Michael Jackson did say they're out to get him because he owns these assets. Um, but anyway, let's keep
Payments,
moving.
royalty percentages, promotional commitments. But the devil was in the details. First, the recoupment terms were structured to keep artists in debt indefinitely. While most labels recoup advances from artist royalties, Roc-A-Fella contracts included additional costs that artists weren't aware of. Studio time, promotional expenses, even the cost of Jay's own appearances on their tracks.
That's a basic contract. As one that used to study music studies, especially like music technology and stuff like that, that's a basic contract, by the way. You're supposed to learn. You're supposed to like record labels often will sell your yeah, record labels will often do this. Do you know what I mean? It's mad when you deep it, yeah, because they're like raw studio time. That's crazy. Okay. Um, that's why obviously if they own the studio, it's a different case. They have to, you know what I'm saying? And then also appearance. Well, JayZ is an artist. He's got to get paid. What do you want him to do? Like I said, like knowledge is power, in it. And it's either you understand the contract or you don't. And if you don't understand the contract at that time, and you had the entertainment lawyer who was with you to sign that contract, and they told you, especially if you're over the age of 18, I'm gonna use that age, 18 or at least 21. I'm sorry, you need to be accountable for your actions. In fact, no, let me do 18. Let's just do 21. Yeah. If you are 21, you should be accountable for your action in regards to signing the contract. Because then you'll be like, you know what I mean? At 21, yeah, you're gonna make some mistakes because obviously at that time you feel like you know better. You feel like it's okay, you know. Anyway, let's keep it
One of
moving.
the most talented rappers on the Roc-A-Fella roster, has spoken about how his album, Philadelphia Freeway, was profitable for the label, but left him with virtually no money. The recoupment terms were so complex that even successful albums didn't generate artist payouts. But the real deception
Okay,
was
why
in the
showing?
ownership structure.
Why would they show the real freeway, like aka the real Rick Ross? That was
Many
mad.
Roc-A-Fella artists thought they were signing with an independent label that would give them more control and better terms than major labels. They didn't realize that their contracts were actually with subsidiary companies that Jay controlled personally. This meant that Jay wasn't just taking a label executive's percentage, he was taking an owner's percentage of everything these artists created. The Cam'ron situation illustrates this perfectly. When Cam signed with Roc-A-Fella, he was already an established artist with his own following. His contract was presented as a partnership deal that would give him creative control and financial upside, and in reality, the contract transferred ownership of Cam's masters to a JayZ entity while limiting Cam's ability to recoup his investment. When Cam tried to renegotiate or leave the label, he discovered that the terms were ironclad and heavily favored Jay. But perhaps the most sophisticated deception involved the use of cross-collateralization clauses. These provisions allowed Jay to use profits from successful...
I'm sorry, it almost feel like this person trying to use big words to try and make it seem like JayZ doing something insidious and dangerous and disgusting. I'll be honest with you, again, we need to hear from these people individually. It's like if he put it in this, like where Cameron was speaking, with Beanie Siegel speaking, where Freeway was speaking. All right, cool, bet. You can only take what they are actually saying. Same thing with if JayZ was speaking, like, and don't get it twisted. You can still make things seem. And again, I studied media studies as well. There's a way where you can literally make things seem like whatever narrative you want to push, depending on the content they created. There's a way to push out that narrative. Do you understand? And it's mad. It's mad. Because I remember in college, I remember there was a song that this one of my friends did, yeah, at that time, yeah. And the way the teacher or the tutor, yeah, like at that time, like I remember he literally edited the verse to make it sound like he was saying something else. It was mad. I'm like, raw. Like, that's mad. That's why you gotta be very strategic with how you say words. But anyway, let's
artists to
go.
cover losses from unsuccessful ones while keeping the successful artists unaware of how their money was being used. For example, if JayZ's albums were profitable and Beanie Siegel's albums lost money, the profits from Jay's work could be used to cover Beanie's losses, reducing the royalty payments to both artists. This created a system where Jay's success subsidized his label mates' failures, while Jay kept the ownership and control. The contracts also included option clauses that gave Jay the right to extend artist deals unilaterally. This meant that if an artist became successful, Jay could keep them locked into unfavorable terms indefinitely. Jay's success with these tactics influenced how other labels structured their deals, creating an industry-wide shift toward more exploitative contracts. Today, young artists entering the music industry face contract terms that are directly descended from the playbook Jay developed at Roc-A-Fella. The system
Stop the cap. Here's why I'm saying stop the cap. With business, yeah, especially the way that JayZ done his business, you don't know. This is what's so mad. How do you know other people are using the same playbook? How do you know? Where did you get this information from? Like, these are the key questions I want to ask. Where and how? Who's telling you this information? And then you also got to remember, those who signed to Roc-A-Fella Records wasn't just signing to to JayZ. They were signing to Kareem Bigsburg and also Dame Dash. So if you've got a problem with the contract that they signed, yeah, and they got a problem with the contract that they signed, then it's on the owners of the label, right? Not only is it only the label, but reality is you go to the court of law, and they're gonna let you know that at the end of the day you sign a contract. Were you under duress when you sign a contract? Can you prove if you were under duress when you signed a contract? Can you prove it? It's as simple as that. If you don't understand the contract you're signing, then that's on you. And I know it sounds mad to say because obviously there's a lot of, not a lot, there's some people that have shady business practices that make you feel like you're part of something, but you're not really part of something, but they're benefiting the most. But that's the reality of the music business. It's not, it's like, not just the music business, it's in other areas, yeah, where if you lack knowledge of something, they're going to take advantage of that. Do you get it? That's why you always got to try and do your best no matter what. Always got to know. Get me? Study the game. Study it. And then play the game the
The
best way
system
you
he
can play it.
created to enrich himself has become the standard that keeps artists poor across the entire industry. By 2008, JayZ had accumulated enough wealth and industry control to make the moves that would transform him from a successful rapper into a legitimate billionaire. But these weren't just smart business decisions. They were the culmination of 15 years of systematic exploitation that had given him the capital and connections to play at the highest levels. The foundation of Jay's billion-dollar empire was built on 3 pillars: master ownership, strategic partnerships, and corporate positioning. Each pillar was constructed using wealth and relationships extracted from the artists and partners he had finessed along the way. The first major play was the creation of Roc Nation in 2008. On the surface, this looked like...
Stop. The first. Here's the thing. See what people are missing out on. What this guy's person, what he's missing out on, is the other business deals that he has done prior. Like he has done other business deals prior, and I don't think people understand that. So another day for another subject, we will do the businesses that JayZ actually owns or previously owned. Yeah, because you need to understand what he owned. How did he start his billions? How did he? You know what I mean?
Jay starting a new label after leaving Def Jam. In reality, it was the launch of a diversified entertainment conglomerate to extract value from every aspect of the music industry. Roc Nation wasn't just a record label. It was a management company, a touring agency, a publishing house, and a sports representation firm all rolled into one. This 360-degree approach allowed Jay to take a percentage of everything his clients did while also controlling their career decisions. The genius of the Roc Nation model was that it appeared to offer artists more control and better terms than traditional labels. Artists were told they were joining a family led by someone who understood their struggles and would protect their interests. But the contracts told a different story. Roc Nation deals were structured to give Jay unprecedented control over artists' careers while limiting their ability to build independent wealth. J. Cole, one of Roc Nation's biggest successes, has spoken about how his deal gave him creative freedom but limited his ownership rights. While Cole has become a superstar, the long-term financial benefits of his success flow primarily to Jay and Roc Nation. The second major play was Jay's entry into the streaming wars with Tidal. In 2015, Jay purchased the struggling streaming service for $56 million and repositioned it as an artist-owned platform that would give musicians better royalty rates and more control over their work. The marketing campaign featured Jay alongside other superstar artists like Beyoncé, Kanye West, and Rihanna, all pledging to support a platform that would treat artists fairly. But the reality of Tidal was very different from the marketing. While Jay and his celebrity partners received equity stakes in the company, smaller artists saw minimal benefits. The platform struggled to gain market share against Spotify.
First of all, the situation with J. Cole, again, we need to hear from J. Cole specifically. So if we can go on to that, we will. As far as JayZ is concerned in regards to the Tidal, which is one of my favorite streaming platforms in regards to music, I'm gonna tell you this for free. I like how streamlined it is. Do you know what I mean? Even though now it's no longer owned by JayZ, it's like I still like the streamline process. But anyway, that aside, yeah. Excuse me. So, when when I react to albums, I go through Tidal, by the way, most of the time. Yeah, if it's just a case of if they're signed to any other label. Anyway, forget all that for now. The point I'm trying to make is with Tidal, the reason why it seemed as though they struggled to get a foothold of market share is because of literally the back and forth with Spotify doing some underhand dirty tactics. Yeah. Even Apple Music, again, doing dirty tactics. But Spotify, especially, they really did dirty tactics. The way that they did their PR and made it seem like the PR um for Tidal. Do you know what I mean? Like you could see the nuances, what they were trying to do. It was mad. It was mad. And how do you fight against that? How do you fight against that in the mainstream media where they are literally trying to destroy like your company for what it's really worth? But hey, listen, he still sold it for a profit. So what can I say?
And Apple Music, and many of the promised improvements for artists never materialized. More importantly, Tidal became a vehicle for Jay to manipulate streaming numbers and chart positions. Albums by Jay and his Roc Nation artists received preferential treatment on the platform, including inflated play counts that helped them achieve higher chart positions and streaming certifications.
Okay, let's stop this for a minute. How can they do that? That doesn't literally make any sense. Let me tell you why that doesn't make any sense. Because when this happened, yeah, you have to remember the streaming, it was down to Spotify, and I believe I can't remember who else, but basically I'll get into it another day for another subject. But like there is a situation with platform with those services where a certain amount of sales, so I know a certain amount of streams equals one sell. And not every streaming platform has the same level. And then plus, you also got to look at R RIAA, the Recording Industry or Association, or something like that. You have to look into that. When I say there's a madness here with the music industry, there's a madness, but you can't just pin it on JayZ and say like he's inflating numbers. You don't even need to inflate numbers, because even when that happened, yeah, I don't think he was putting out enough music anyway. The only other music I remember, yeah, he wasn't putting out that much music. So again, what are we talking about here? And what are you trying to say, Rihanna? Then, all right, well, Rihanna created such a large following to this day. If she was to release an album right now, it will go number one. Like it will literally go number one. I'm not even joking you. Like she could release an album, yeah, with literally no sound for each track. Give it like 10 tracks. Each track is no sound. It will go number one. So I don't know, man. You got to think about it, yeah. You really got to think about it. Let's
In
keep moving on.
2021, Jay sold Tidal to Twitter founder Jack Dorsey for $297 million, representing a 400% return on his investment. The artists who had supported the platform and helped legitimize it received nothing from the sale. The third major play was Jay's expansion into sports and entertainment through Roc Nation.
Wait. How do you know this? Yeah, that they didn't receive anything. How do you know? Oh, what, Nicki Minaj? What, did she really sign a contract? Who knows? But who else is there that signed? Leave your answer in the comments below and let me know. Again, we can only hear from those that will actually sign a contract. If they literally signed a contract and prove that do you see what I'm going to say? And you got to bear in mind why it was sold. Do you see what I'm going to say? Because of the underhanded, dirty tactics that Spotify was doing, it's not worth the hassle. So if you can sell it for a 400% markup profit, so be it. Business is business. And you can see a pattern here. The pattern is he's able to build up a brand and sell it. Granted, he never, do you know what I mean, started it from scratch, but like he was able to build it up and sell it. And you can't even. What's mad here is I'm trying to figure this out. Yeah, why do people hate on people trying to do business? Or is it the individual and you're thinking, well, I don't like the way he did that? Fair enough. You cannot like the way someone does something. You make it your turn. You do something that is in a way similar, but do it with the tactics and the morals and ethics that you think is right in regards to doing the business. And that's it's not a fair thing to say. But again, we don't know the real truth in regards to how JayZ actually accumulated what he accumulated. Because this guy's talking about masters, this, that, and the third. And again, I'm gonna repeat it one more time. Yeah, I know it was in the past sense in regards to this, but I'm like, you gotta remember, business is business. If he's a businessman, he's a businessman. He's an artist as well. He just happens to do art as well. Like, I don't understand it. So what? Are you trying to say an artist can't be a business person?
Sports. This venture allowed Jay to represent some of the biggest names in professional sports while also building relationships with team owners and league executives. But Roc Nation Sports also became another vehicle for exploitation. Impressed.
Jeez, RealVersatile. I think what was RealVersatile represented by Roc Nation? I don't even know. I don't even recall that happening. Because I would have shouted out to the rooftops. A brother from Croydon, you know, South London to the world and back. Give me. I don't even think he's even in this year's AFCON as well. I don't think he was selected.
By Jay's success and celebrity status, signed representation deals that gave Roc Nation significant control over their careers and endorsement opportunities. Kevin Durant, one of Roc Nation Sports' biggest clients, has spoken about how the agency helped him build his brand and secure lucrative deals. But industry insiders note that Roc Nation's commission structure and contract terms are among the most aggressive in sports representation. The pattern was consistent across all of Jay's business ventures: promise artists and athletes better treatment and more control, then use sophisticated contracts to extract maximum value while limiting their independence. But the most sophisticated play was Jay's cultivation of relationships with corporate America. By positioning himself as a bridge between hip-hop culture and mainstream business, Jay gained access to boardrooms and investment opportunities that were previously closed to rap artists. His partnerships with companies like Samsung, Sprint, and Live Nation weren't just endorsement deals. They were strategic alliances that gave him equity stakes and decision-making power in major corporations. The Samsung deal for Magna Carta Holy Grail was particularly revealing. Samsung paid Jay $5 million to give away 1 million copies of his album to Galaxy users. This allowed Jay to go platinum before the album was even released to the general public, while also building a relationship with one of the world's largest technology companies. But the deal also demonstrated how Jay had learned to manipulate industry metrics for his own benefit. Pre-selling albums to corporations, he could achieve chart success and industry recognition without actually selling music to fans. These corporate relationships became the foundation for Jay's entry into venture capital and private equity. His investment firm, Marcy Venture Partners, has stakes in dozens of companies across multiple industries, from cannabis to financial services. The capital for these investments came directly from the wealth Jay had extracted from artists and partners over the previous 2 decades. The exploitation of young rappers in the 1990s and 2000s had generated the resources that allowed Jay to become a legitimate business mogul in the 2000s and 10s. JayZ's transformation into a billionaire didn't end his exploitation of young artists. It just made him more sophisticated about it. Today's Roc Nation operates as a fully integrated entertainment machine that can extract value from artists at every stage of their careers while maintaining the appearance of being artist-friendly. The modern Roc Nation model represents the evolution of everything Jay learned from his early finessing. Instead of the crude exploitation tactics used on artists like Beanie Sigel and Memphis Bleak, today's system uses data analytics, social media manipulation, and complex financial instruments to maximize extraction while minimizing artist awareness. Let's examine how this works with current Roc Nation artists. Megan Thee Stallion's situation illustrates the sophistication of modern music industry exploitation. When Megan signed with Roc Nation for management in 2019, it was presented as a partnership that would help her navigate industry politics and build her brand. But Roc Nation's involvement in Megan's career has been structured to benefit Jay's empire more than Megan herself. While Roc Nation takes a management fee from all of Megan's activities, they also use her success to build relationships with brands, streaming platforms, and media companies that benefit their other clients. More importantly, Roc Nation's management of Megan's career has been designed to create dependency. Instead of helping her build independent business infrastructure, They've positioned themselves as essential intermediaries for every aspect of her career. This creates a situation where Megan's success generates wealth for Roc Nation's ecosystem while limiting her ability to operate independently. If she ever tries to leave Roc Nation, she would lose access to the relationships and infrastructure that have become essential to her career. The streaming era has also created new opportunities for exploitation that Jay has been quick to capitalize on. Roc Nation's relationship with streaming platforms allows them to manipulate playlist placements, recommendation algorithms, and promotional opportunities for their artists. But this power is used strategically to benefit Jay's broader business interests. Artists who are fully committed to the Roc Nation ecosystem receive maximum support, while those who maintain independence or question the system find their opportunities limited. Lil Uzi Vert's brief association with Roc Nation illustrates this dynamic. When Uzi was considering signing with the label, he received significant promotional support and playlist placements. But when he decided to maintain his independence, that support disappeared almost immediately. The social media.
Of course, if you don't want to sign, then why should we continue to give you that support? That doesn't make no sense. It doesn't make no sense. What, you're supposed to benefit from something that you don't want to be a part of? All right, cool, innit? If you don't want to be a part of it, that's fine. We'll just pull back from giving you the promotional run. It's not that deep. Do you know what I mean?
Media era has also created new forms of exploitation that Jay has mastered. Roc Nation's social media strategy uses their artists' personal brands to build the company's overall influence while limiting the artists' ability to control their own narratives. Artists are encouraged to post content that promotes Roc Nation's brand and values, often without realizing how this content is being used to build Jay's business empire. Their personal social media accounts become marketing vehicles for the company, generating value that flows upward to Jay while the artists receive minimal compensation. But perhaps the most sophisticated aspect of modern Roc Nation is the use of data analytics to predict and control artist behavior. The company has invested heavily in technology that tracks streaming patterns, social media engagement, and fan behavior to identify opportunities for revenue extraction. This data is used to make decisions about which artists to support, which songs to promote, and which business opportunities to pursue. But the artists themselves rarely have access to this data, leaving them dependent on Roc Nation's interpretation of their own careers. The venture capital arm of Jay's empire has also created new opportunities for exploitation. Marcy Venture Partners uses Jay's entertainment industry connections to identify investment opportunities, but the returns from these investments flow primarily to Jay and his partners rather than the artists who help create the relationships. For example, when Roc Nation artists promote products or services from Marcy Venture Partners portfolio companies, They're essentially providing free marketing for Jay's investments while receiving minimal compensation. The sports division operates similarly, using athlete relationships to build business opportunities that benefit Jay's broader empire. When Roc Nation sports clients endorse products or appear at events, the long-term business relationships that result from these activities become assets of Jay's empire rather than the athletes themselves. This systematic approach to value extraction has made Jay one of the wealthiest people in entertainment while keeping his artists and clients in positions of dependency. They may achieve fame and moderate wealth, but the long-term financial benefits of their success flow primarily to Jay's empire. The most troubling aspect of this system is how it's been normalized within the industry. Young artists entering the music business today see Roc Nation as a desirable destination because of Jay's success and reputation. They don't realize that the system is designed to extract value from their careers while limiting their independence. JayZ's systematic exploitation of artists and partners didn't just make him wealthy, it fundamentally transformed how the music industry operates. The tactics he pioneered at Roc-A-Fella have become industry standard, creating a system that keeps artists poor while making executives rich across the entire entertainment landscape.
JayZ never started that.
The most significant...
Stop that. JayZ never ever started that. JayZ never ever started that. If you see my reaction to Clive Davis' situation, I'm telling you, guess who's before JayZ? If he is really doing them type of dirty underhanded tactics.
An impact has been the normalization of 360 deals, which give labels a percentage of everything an artist does. Before JayZ, most record deals focused primarily on album sales. Artists could build wealth through touring, merchandise, and endorsements even if their albums didn't sell well. But Jay's success with comprehensive artist exploitation showed other labels how much money they were leaving on the table. Today, virtually every major label deal includes 360 provisions that give the label a percentage of touring, merchandise, endorsements, and even non-music business ventures. This shift has made it nearly impossible for artists to build independent wealth through their music careers. Even successful artists find themselves trapped in systems that extract value.
Okay, wait. We need time out. Time out. So are you telling me if you sign to either label or management or whatever the case may be, you're telling me you no longer have independent? Well, duh. Unless you sign an independent type of deal structure with Roc Nation, then you're not going to have independence. That's how it works. It's business. If you want independence, and there's many different variations of independence. You can have independence where you're not signed to Roc Nation as an artist, but you're signed to Roc Nation as as management, and you can still be independent. Do you get it? So I don't understand this narrative that is being pushed, because this feels like this is the narrative being pushed. Oh, JayZ does this, he does that, he does this, so he's a bad guy. He's the big bad wolf. You must stay away from him. Get out of here with that. Do you know what I mean? Get out of here with that. Get out of here, man. Know what I'm saying? Anyway, listen. Let's keep it moving.
Value from every aspect of their lives while providing minimal returns. The streaming era has amplified these problems exponentially. Jay's early manipulation of streaming numbers and playlist placements showed the industry how digital platforms could be weaponized to control artist success. Today, playlist placement and algorithmic promotion have become more important than actual fan engagement, giving platforms and labels unprecedented control over artists' careers. Young artists today face a system where their success is determined not by their talent or fan base, but by their willingness to participate in exploitation schemes that benefit platform owners and label executives. The venture capital integration that Jay pioneered has also spread throughout the industry. Major labels now operate investment arms that use artist relationships to identify business opportunities, while artists themselves receive minimal benefit from the wealth their connections generate. This has created a system where artists become unpaid business development representatives for their labels' investment portfolios, generating value that flows upward to executives and investors while the artists remain financially dependent. But perhaps the most damaging impact has been the cultural normalization of exploitation within hip-hop. Jay's success story has been held up as an example of black excellence and entrepreneurial achievement, obscuring the fact that his wealth was built on the systematic exploitation of other black artists. Young rappers entering the industry today see Jay as a role model and aspire to build similar empires. But they don't understand that his success came at the expense of dozens of other artists who trusted him and were left with nothing. This has created a culture within hip-hop where exploitation is seen as smart business rather than betrayal. Artists are encouraged to get theirs by any means necessary, leading to an industry where collaboration and community have been...
Stop the cap. That's all I'm gonna say. Stop the cap.
replaced by competition and extraction. The impact extends beyond music into other areas of black culture and business. Jay's model of using cultural authenticity to gain trust, then exploiting that trust for financial gain, has been replicated across multiple industries. From fashion to technology to sports, we now see a pattern of successful black entrepreneurs who build their wealth by extracting value from their own communities while positioning themselves as champions of black empowerment. The legal and regulatory environment has also been shaped by Jay's tactics. The complex contract structures and corporate entities he used to obscure his
Stop saying complex contracts or sophisticated contracts. If you are not seeing a contract, if you're not seeing the contract in front of you and not even showing us the contract, and do you know what I mean? And you're not showing us with an entertainment lawyer, yeah, that's been in the industry for 25 plus or 30 plus years, let's say 30 plus years, yeah, and they go through it. So, and if they don't go through it, should I say, because they're not there, for example, then I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it's exploiting, it's this or sophisticated or complex. I don't want to hear that because you're just chatting rubbish. You just have an agenda. You hate JayZ because at the end of the day he makes money. You know what I mean? And you hate the way, fair enough, you may not understand how he fully makes money. And because you don't understand that, you're in a position to say, well, maybe he does this. And you're trying to present it as if it's facts, when it's not facts. Now, some things may be facts, some things are not facts. I'm not going to put that as out there like that because there's something that makes, you could say, is facts where obviously he does sell. He did the Samsung deal. Do you know what I mean? I thought that was pretty smart because I'm someone that uses Samsung, so I thought that was pretty smart. And like I'm a JayZ fan, so I'm like, rah, this makes sense. Do you know what I mean? And this is what I'm trying to say. Was that the same era when Tidal came out? I literally can't remember. It might have been just before, or just after, or during. If it's during, then you can't chat rubbish about the sales in regards to Tidal and inflating numbers. You can't. Because you got to remember that Samsung deal meant that people are buying the product. And because people are buying the product, that means they're buying the album as well. It's business.
Exploitation have become standard practice, making it increasingly difficult for artists to understand or challenge unfavorable deals. Regulatory agencies and industry organizations have failed to address these problems because they benefit the same corporate interests that profit from artist exploitation. The system Jay created has become too profitable for too many powerful people to change. The international impact has been equally significant. As hip-hop has become a global phenomenon, Jay's exploitation model has been exported to music industries around the world. Young artists in Africa, Asia, and Latin America now face the same systematic extraction that Jay pioneered in the United States. This has created a global system where local artists in developing markets are exploited by international labels and platforms using tactics that Jay developed to exploit American artists in the 1990s and 2000s. The technology sector has also adopted Jay's approach to relationship exploitation. Social media platforms, streaming services, and digital marketing companies now use similar tactics to extract value from content creators while providing minimal compensation. The influencer economy operates on principles that Jay pioneered in the music industry. Promise creators fame and success, then use their content and relationships to build platform value while keeping the creators financially dependent. While JayZ has built a carefully crafted public image as a successful entrepreneur and cultural icon, the artists and partners he exploited along the way tell a very different story. Their testimonies reveal the human cost of his billion-dollar empire and expose the systematic nature of his exploitation.
What
Dame Dash
testimonies?
remains the most vocal critic of Jay's business practices, and his
Dame Dash remains the most vocal critic because he is envious of the way JayZ has surpassed him in business. He wish he was in JayZ's position financially. He wish he was able to have and build these connections with individuals and corporations. He wish. Listen, I'm not trying to be on the side of JayZ because I'm a JayZ fan. I'm also a Dame Dash fan as well. Don't get the time when he's not trying to chat rubbish, but like you got to think about it. Yeah, business is business, and if he's saying he doesn't like his business practices, again, you got to take what Dame Dash is saying with a pinch of salt, because at the end of the day, when you look at all of the things he has said, it seems to be a lie. Do you understand? Now, one could argue and say that he's. Let's continue. Hang on.
perspective is particularly valuable because he was an insider who witnessed Jay's tactics firsthand. In numerous interviews over the past 2 decades, Dame has detailed how Jay systematically undermined their partnership while pretending to be a loyal friend. Jay knew exactly what he was doing from the beginning, Dame said in a 2019 interview. He was planning his exit strategy while I was planning our future. I thought we were building something together, but he was just using me to build his own empire. Dame's account of the secret Def Jam meetings is particularly damning. According to Dame, Jay was negotiating his own deal while telling his partners that he was fighting for Roc-A-Fella's interests. He would come back from these meetings and tell us they were trying to lowball us, but really he was working out his own package. The financial impact on Dame has been devastating. He estimates that Jay's betrayal cost him over $100 million in potential wealth. If we had stayed together and built what we started, I would be worth hundreds of millions today. Instead, I'm fighting lawsuits and trying to rebuild from nothing. But Dame's story is just the tip of the iceberg. Multiple former Roc-A-Fella artists have spoken about how their careers were managed to benefit Jay rather than themselves. Beanie Sigel has been particularly candid about his experience. In a 2020 interview, Beans revealed that he never understood the financial terms of his deal until years after signing. I thought I was signing with my big brother, someone who would look out for me. I didn't realize I was signing my life away. Beans described how his album, The Truth, was profitable for the label but left him with virtually no money. They told me I had to recoup my advance, but they never explained what that meant. Every time I asked about money, they would show me paperwork that I didn't understand. The psychological impact on Beans has been significant.
Again, we'll react to his Beanie Siegel's interview on the Art of the Dialogue platform, but I'm gonna repeat this one more time here because you need to understand that, like when it comes down to business, if you don't understand what you're signing, that's on you. I don't want to hear it from nobody. If you don't understand what you're signing, that's on you. Even your employment contract, yeah, read it, understand it. If you don't understand it, that's on you. The difference though with an employment contract and a music contract is, with a music contract you have an entertainment lawyer. With a hang on, all right. So yeah, when it comes down to it, yeah, the Beanie Siegel, like I said, if we react to his the Art of the Dialogue platform, he's interviewing that. Fair enough, cool. If he speaks on it, he speaks on it. If he's saying he literally never understood, he never understood. As far as Damon Dash, Yeah, I am not sorry. If he wants to say he's worth $100 million if he never lost out on a partnership with JayZ, that just shows you the power of leverage that JayZ has. Do you get it? Whereas Dame Dash, the time you keep talking about boss this, CEO this, boss that, then why couldn't he not build something with someone else? Why does it have to be JayZ? Why can it not be someone else? Why can it not be Kareem Biggs Burke? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Because the reality is he's in a great position because he has experience. And where you got that experience, you're able to use that experience to your advantage. The same way that JayZ was able to build Roc Nation. I'm sorry, you can't blame your ex-business partner for you not being successful the way that you want to be. Because I still see Dame Dash as successful. Yeah, he may have filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy, but he's still successful. Yeah, I understand he's still successful, but let's keep it moving. Let's go.
Significant. I trusted Jay like family. When I found out how the business really worked, it broke something in me. I felt stupid for trusting him, but also angry that he took advantage of that trust. Memphis Bleek's situation is even more heartbreaking because of his long friendship with Jay. Bleek has been more circumspect in his public comments, but industry insiders say his financial situation reflects the exploitative nature of his deal. Bleek was Jay's day one friend, but his contract was structured like he was just another artist, said a former Roc-A-Fella employee who requested anonymity. Jay owns Bleek's masters, which means every time
Requested. Who are you? Requested anonymity. Who are you? Like, I want to know who are you? Because this sounds mad to me. Because it's not just about you're saying it's someone from Roc-A-Fella, and they requested anonymity for what reason? Like I said, the only individuals that are gonna understand and know the contract is Memphis Bleek, JayZ, Dame Dash, or Kareem Biggs Burke, but also and most importantly the entertainment lawyer that also helps sign the contract that read it with Memphis Bleek. If listen, I'm done repeating myself. Let's keep it.
Bleek's music gets played, Jay gets paid. That's not how you treat a friend. The employee described a culture at Roc-A-Fella where Jay's interests always came first. Artists would come to the office excited about opportunities. But if those opportunities didn't benefit Jay somehow, they would mysteriously disappear. Cameron has been more diplomatic in his public statements, but his departure from
Unintended,
Roc-A-Fella
right?
tells its own story. Cam was an established artist when he joined the label, but his time there was marked by creative conflicts and financial disputes. Cam thought he was joining a partnership, but he quickly realized he was just another employee, said a former Dipset member. When he tried to assert creative
former Dipset
control or
member is
negotiate
Jim
better
Jones.
terms, he was told that Jay had final say on everything. The impact on Cam's career was significant. His Roc-A-Fella albums underperformed compared to his independent work, and he eventually left the label to rebuild his career elsewhere. Freeway's experience illustrates how Jay's exploitation affected even successful artists. Despite critical acclaim and commercial success, Freeway has struggled.
Why they keep showing the Freeway, the original Freeway Rick Ross, the real Rick Ross? Why they keep showing him? Anyway,
Struggled financially throughout his career. Free's album Philadelphia Freeway was a hit, but he barely saw any money from it, said a former Roc-A-Fella executive. The recoupment terms were so complex that even successful albums didn't generate artist payouts. Meanwhile, Jay was getting rich off the same sales. But perhaps the most telling testimony comes from Kanye West, who has spoken extensively about his time at Roc-A-Fella and his relationship with Jay. While Kanye eventually became successful enough to negotiate better terms, his early experiences revealed the systematic nature of Jay's exploitation. They didn't want me to rap because they were making too much money off my beats, Kanye said in a 2013 interview. I had to force my way into a rap career by creating buzz independently. Even then, my deal was structured to keep me dependent on the label. Kanye's description of the Roc-A-Fella culture is particularly revealing. It was all about Jay. Everything we did was designed to make Jay bigger and richer. We thought we were part of a family, but really we were just employees in Jay's empire. The pattern across all these testimonies is consistent. Artists.
Kanye never said that. Do you know why I know Kanye's never said that? Is because it would be so memorable that it will go super viral. I'm just saying. The only thing that he did say that was particularly true is in regards to them seeing him as he didn't even say JayZ. He just said they saw him as a producer rather than a rapper. Do you understand? Now that's true. But to say it was all to make JayZ richer and his empire bigger and richer, that's completely false, man. Like, relax. Plus, you got to think about it, yeah. JayZ's in a mad situation, yeah. Look, I'm not being funny, yeah. He's in a unique position. And let me explain something to you guys, yeah. Yes, he's a music artist. But you know what's mad? As much as him being a music artist, he's also an executive of a record label. And if that rubs you up the wrong way, then I'm not sorry. Because you should be inspired to know that you can use your talent and also build a business and, you know what I mean, an economy around it. And it's not even about taking advantage of people or this, that, and the third or anything like that. Because again, the way business is done with other people is not it's not always going to be the same. Anyway, let's keep
Trusted
moving.
Jay because of his reputation and cultural status, only to discover that their deals were structured to benefit him far more than themselves. The exploitation was systematic, sophisticated, and devastating to the artists involved. Many of these artists have never fully recovered financially or emotionally from their experiences with Jay. They remain cautionary tales for young artists entering the industry today, but their warnings are often ignored by artists who see Jay's success and assume they can achieve similar results. One of the most frustrating aspects of JayZ's systematic exploitation is that virtually everything he did was technically legal. His lawyers crafted...
I've got a question. If JayZ is so bad in regards to all of this, how comes Rihanna's a billionaire as well? Leave your answer in the comment section below. I want to know, how come she's a billionaire as well then? Just put that into perspective. Same thing with Kanye West. How come he's a bit? Well, he was a billionaire at one point. Yeah. You do the maths. I remember there was a competition of who is the best three at the moment. It was out of JayZ, Rihanna, and Kanye West. Then it was versus Lil Wayne, Nicki Minaj, and Drake. I've always picked JayZ, Kanye, and Rihanna. You hear me? Like, even like from a music perspective as well. Because I was just saying, well, there were billionaires at that particular point when that was happening, like Kanye, JayZ, and Rihanna, all billionaires. You do the maths.
Contracts and corporate structures that gave him maximum advantage while staying within the bounds of industry practice and commercial law. But legality and legitimacy are not the same thing. Jay's tactics may have been permissible under the law, but they violated fundamental principles of fair dealing, fiduciary responsibility, and ethical business conduct.
Listen, can you stop trying to use big words as if it's supposed to be doing something? Because I get it, you hate JayZ. But let's be real. Let's just deal with the facts. You don't know unless you have the contract with you. You can't tell me you're doing bad business practices. I don't care. Unless an artist actually says it, fair enough. But also you got to bear in mind he's not the only individual. So if you're talking about from the Roc-A-Fella days, then Dame Dash is involved and Kareem Big Burks is involved. Simple as that. You put them in that fold too.
The legal framework that allowed Jay's exploitation to flourish is rooted in the power imbalance between established industry figures and young artists. When a 19-year-old rapper from Philadelphia meets JayZ and is offered a record deal, the negotiation is fundamentally unequal. Jay has access to sophisticated legal counsel, industry knowledge, and financial resources that the young artist lacks. He understands the long-term implications of contract terms that the artist doesn't even know exist. This creates a situation where informed consent is impossible, even if the artist signs the contract voluntarily. Entertainment law professor Jonathan Handel explains the problem. The music industry has developed contract structures that are so complex and one-sided that they essentially constitute legal fraud. Artists sign documents they don't understand, giving up rights they don't know they have to people who know exactly how to exploit those rights. The fiduciary responsibility issue is particularly relevant to Jay's relationship with artists like Memphis Bleek and Beanie Sigel. When Jay positioned himself as a mentor and big brother figure, he created an implicit fiduciary relationship that required him to act in their best interests. Instead, he used their trust to negotiate deals that benefited him at their expense. This represents a clear violation of fiduciary duty, even if it wasn't legally actionable.
This person is acting like he just learned the word fiduciary. Hey, yo. Nah, this is too hilarious. Look, at the end of the day, yeah, that entertainment lawyer may be right, but you have to understand something. And I've said it before, with an artist, yeah, an artist is always going to be in the best position to say, you know what, they're either going to sign that deal or not. If an entertainment lawyer is present, which most likely should be, and like by law, they need to have an entertainment lawyer present, right? They must go through the contract. They must tell them and give them advice to say, I've just gone through this. This does not benefit you in any shape or form. The artist is supposed to ask the questions of what needs to be put in the contract, or what needs to be said, or what needs to be done. And if it's not in this contract, negotiate with the label to say, can this be put in the contract? Blah blah blah. Because it's not by force that the artist signs the contract. By the way, I think, irrespective of their age, whether they're 19 or not, 20 or not, 21 or not, I know it sounds mad, but you have to understand accountability will always matter all the time. Because I'm sick and tired of hearing this. Like, I get it. Some people get done a bad deal, and I get it. I understand it. But if you just take accountability, be like, you know what? At that age, didn't know better. I thought I knew better. I signed this contract. I accept it. If I can try and rectify it, find a lawyer to be able to find a way to renegotiate the terms of this contract, then I will. Simple. If you know anyone, let me know. Simple. Now, I say it's simple, but obviously you have to pay for lawyer fees and all that stuff there, like, I get it. You understand? And obviously, you still got to try and make sure you have enough knowledge on what is supposed to be benefiting you. But let's keep it moving, because yeah.
Under the specific terms of their contracts. The Dame Dash situation raises even more serious ethical questions. As co-founders of Roc-A-Fella, Jay and Dame had explicit fiduciary duties to each other as business partners. Jay's secret negotiations with Def Jam violated those duties and constituted a clear breach of partnership obligations. Legal expert Sarah Johnson.
If it's a violation, yeah, why did he not sue? Or did he? Let me know in the comment section below.
Notes, what Jay did to Dame Dash would be considered corporate malfeasance in any other industry. He used his position as a partner to negotiate personal benefits while undermining the partnership itself. The fact that it was legal doesn't make it ethical. The master ownership issue represents another area where Jay's tactics were legally permissible but ethically questionable. While artists did sign contracts that transferred their master rights, many of them didn't understand what they were giving up or how valuable those rights would become. Jay's superior knowledge of the industry and the long-term value of master ownership created an information asymmetry that he exploited ruthlessly. He knew that owning masters would generate wealth for decades, while the artists he was signing focused on immediate advances and promotional support. This represents a form of informed consent violation that is common in the entertainment industry, but would be considered unethical in other professional contexts. Doctors, lawyers, and financial advisors have ethical obligations to ensure their clients understand the implications of their decisions. Such standards, the regulatory environment has also failed to address these problems.
That's the I will tell you about entertainment.
While other industries have developed consumer protection standards and professional ethics codes, the music industry operates with minimal oversight and virtually no accountability for exploitative practices. The Federal Trade Commission and state attorney generals have occasionally investigated music industry practices, but their focus has been on obvious fraud rather than the systematic exploitation that Jay pioneered. The complex corporate structures and legal sophistication of modern exploitation make it difficult for regulators to identify and address. Industry organizations like the Recording Industry Association of America, RIAA, and the National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences, NARAS, have also failed to develop meaningful ethical standards for industry executives. These organizations are controlled by the same people who profit from artist exploitation, creating a conflict of interest that prevents meaningful reform. The international implications are also significant. As Jay's tactics have been adopted by labels and executives worldwide, the exploitation model has spread to music industries in developing countries where legal protections for artists are even weaker. Young artists in Africa, Asia, and Latin America
Sorry, I'm about to say that's where I pause. How dare you try and make it seem like African countries have lack of knowledge, this, that, and the third? What are you talking about? And I'll give you a prime example. If you look at, for example, with what Wizkid is doing, like Wizkid needs to be studied, all right? Wizkid needs to be studied, and I'll do that on my other channel. Yeah. And then also you got to take into consideration Don Jazzy. That's another. He needs to be studied as well. So I'm gonna react to his content on my other channel that I could be interested. So make sure you subscribe to that channel if you haven't already. So the point I'm trying to make is, I don't know what this guy is trying to say. I really don't. It just seems like he hates JayZ so much that he's trying to use big words to make it seem like you should also hate JayZ because of this as well. That's what it seemed like. Now I understand it. It's because of the lack of knowledge of how JayZ really is making his money, and because you think he's making it under these false pretenses and these snaky moves, and that's because it's legal, doesn't make it ethical. All right, cool, whatever. JayZ's not the only person. Like JayZ's not the only person that does unethical business. If JayZ does unethical business, you have to look at other artists and look at you got to let other artists and other people that he's done business with to be able to speak for themselves. Fair enough, Dame Dash speaks for himself. But like I said, that guy is one of the individual that can talk on things that are not true, which is annoying, because it's like you want to hear information, you want to hear truth, you want to understand what went wrong or what could potentially go right. But let's keep it moving.
Now face exploitation schemes that are directly descended from Jay's playbook, but with even less legal recourse or industry support. The technology sector has also adopted similar tactics, using complex terms of service and algorithmic manipulation to extract value from content creators while providing minimal compensation. The legal frameworks that allowed Jay's exploitation have become templates for platform capitalism across multiple industries. But perhaps the most troubling aspect of the legal situation is how it has normalized exploitation within the industry. Because Jay's tactics were legal, they have been adopted as standard practice by other labels and executives. Young artists entering the industry today face systematic exploitation that is considered normal.
Why is it just young artists? Can you leave the comments below? Why does it just seem like it's about young artists? Why is it not just about artists in general? Because that's the real truth. The real truth is artists if you lack knowledge, or producers or anyone in the creative field in regards to music, if you lack knowledge in regards to what you're doing or going into the business you're going into, you could unfortunately be taken advantage of. The name of the game is, when it comes to business, sadly, is leverage. Having more knowledge. Knowledge is leverage. The more leverage you have, the more power you have. The more power and leverage you have, the more the more room you have for negotiation to work in your favor, for people to agree on your terms. That doesn't make it, like, you can argue all day long in the comments if you want to, whether that's unethical or unmoral if you want, or immoral if you want. Fine, you can, but that's just that it's. Think about it, yeah. You pay your bill. This is, I know this sounds mad, yeah, but I'm gonna use the bills as a prime example. You pay your bills, right? Let's say, for example, like rent or mortgage. You pay it. Why? Because obviously, if it's rent, obviously you don't own the property. And even if you're paying mortgage, you still don't technically own the property until you fully pay off the mortgage. And even with the mortgage, you're paying the interest. And then depending on the location of where you are paying the mortgage, you're also paying property tax. There's other things like, do you understand what I'm trying to make sense? What I'm trying to say. So if you don't have knowledge on what you're doing, they can take advantage of you. Like, and I'm pretty sure, even if it's in terms of renting versus mortgage payments, there's a way to leverage both situations where you have knowledge on both situations, so you know what you're doing, so they don't take advantage of you. So this is why you have these contracts. What is going to be beneficial for me versus what's beneficial for them? Do you get it? That's why you have to read your contracts. Like, I'm not sorry. I'm just gonna keep it all the way 100, innit? If we're talking business, we're talking business. Yeah, and I will talk more business on this channel. Let's keep it moving. Let's go.
Business practice. The legal system's failure to address Jay's tactics has created an environment where exploitation is not just permissible but expected. The long-term impact on artistic creativity and cultural development is significant. When artists know that their work will be exploited by
Yeah,
industry
Pusha
executives,
T
they have less
and
incentive
his
to take
brother are
creative
signed
risks or invest
to
in
Roc Nation.
long-term artistic
Get
development.
out of here.
This creates a cultural environment where short-term commercial success is prioritized over artistic innovation, leading to a homogenization of music and a decline in creative diversity. Throughout his career, JayZ has been remarkably skilled at deflecting criticism of his business practices while maintaining his image as a successful entrepreneur and cultural icon. His defense
I mean, he
strategy
just
relies on
ignores people.
several key
Simple as
narratives
that.
that obscure the exploitative nature of his empire while positioning him as a victim of unfair criticism. The first line of defense is the industry standard argument. When confronted with allegations of exploitative contracts or unfair business practices, Jay consistently argues that he was simply operating within established industry norms. "This is how the business works," he has said in multiple interviews. "Everyone has the same types of deals." This argument is both technically accurate and fundamentally misleading. While it's true that exploitative contracts are common in the music industry, Jay's sophistication in structuring and executing these deals was far beyond industry standard. He didn't just participate in a broken system, he perfected it. The second defense is the mutual benefit narrative. Jay argues that his success has created opportunities for others, and that his business partners and
Time out. Again, if you're gonna reference anyone, especially JayZ, because you're talking about JayZ, then play that interview. Let's hear it and play it fully. Let's not hear it out of context, because then you're pushing a narrative. And I'm not even trying to judge. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to judge the whole situation, but like, that's what it just seemed like. The whole thing just seemed like this person trying to push a narrative. That's what it seemed like.
artists have benefited from their associations with him. "I've made a lot of people millionaires," he said in a 2017 interview. Success is not a zero-sum game, but this argument ignores the fundamental power imbalance in Jay's relationships and the systematic nature of his value extraction. While some artists have achieved success through their associations with Jay, the financial benefits have flowed disproportionately to him rather than his partners. The third defense is the personal responsibility argument. Jay suggests that artists and partners who feel exploited should have been more careful about their business decisions. You have to
That's
protect
facts.
yourself in this business, he has said.
Facts.
Nobody is going to look out for you but you. This argument
Even if he said that or didn't say that, that is still facts. I don't care what nobody says. That's still facts. And you can argue with that all day long. But again, I repeat again, if you have an entertainment lawyer present and they point out the red flags in the contract and you still sign it, that's on you.
is particularly cynical because it places responsibility on the victims of exploitation while ignoring Jay's superior knowledge, resources, and industry position. When a 19-year-old artist from the projects meets JayZ, the power dynamic makes informed decision-making nearly impossible.
Why does it have to be 19 and from the projects? So are you trying to say young people are stupid? Are you trying to say they're dumb? Is that what you're trying to say? If I was 19, if you're 19 years old and you're watching this and you're from the projects or from the ends or wherever, hey, bruv, I won't have that. You're going to have that, blood. Because I wouldn't.
Jay has also used his cultural status and philanthropic activities to deflect criticism of his business practices. His work on criminal justice reform, educational initiatives, and social justice causes has created a public image that makes criticism seem petty or motivated by jealousy. I'm using my success to help my community, he said in a 2019 interview. People who criticize me are just trying to tear down black success. This argument weaponizes racial solidarity to shield him from legitimate criticism of his business practices. The self-made narrative is another key component of Jay's defense. He consistently emphasizes his rise from poverty and drug dealing to billionaire status, suggesting that his success is purely the result of hard work and talent. But this narrative obscures the systematic exploitation that funded his rise and the advantages he gained through his relationships with industry insiders. JayZ
Listen, even if what this guy is saying is true, it's still hard work and talent and skill. Do you understand? I know it sounds mad, but that's just the reality. If that is the reality, but we can't say this is the reality because this guy is not playing any interviews or audio or visuals from JayZ for him to speak for himself, or nor hearing from the artist that he's mentioned to speak for themselves. He's getting, like, we don't know where he's getting this information from. Then he's trying to reference an entertainment lawyer and other I don't even know what the person was, what job they did, I forgot. But basically, you're trying to use them as what's the word I'm thinking? He's trying to use them to see it's like expert standing where he's building that trust. Where, because if you're talking about exploitation, it's this person that's doing exploitation. You're using JayZ's name to get views, to get likes, to get comments, and if your channel is monetized, more than likely you're going to get paid from this video. So you're doing exploitation. Just saying.
success wasn't just about individual achievement. It was about his ability to extract value from others while minimizing their ability to do the same to him. Jay has also used legal threats and industry influence to silence critics. Former associates who have spoken publicly about his business practices have faced lawsuits, industry blacklisting, and other forms of retaliation. Dame Dash has described how his criticism of Jay has made it difficult for him to secure business opportunities in the entertainment industry. People are afraid to work with me because they don't want to upset Jay, Dame said in a 2000.
Some people don't want to work with you, Dame Dash, because you are an emotionally manipulative human being at times. Yeah. And you don't know how to talk to people. And sadly, Yeah, it's mad.
20 interview. The media has also been complicit in protecting Jay's image. Major entertainment publications depend on access to Jay and his artists for content, creating a conflict of interest that prevents critical coverage of his business practices. When journalists
The
do
irony.
investigate Jay's tactics, their stories are often buried or minimized by editors who don't want to jeopardize their publication's relationships with Roc Nation and its artists. Jay's legal team has also been instrumental in managing his public image. They have crafted settlement agreements that include non-disclosure clauses, preventing former associates from speaking publicly about their experiences. These
How
NDAs
do you
have
know?
created a culture of silence around Jay's business practices, making it
How do you
difficult for
know?
journalists and researchers to document the full extent of his exploitation. The streaming
How do
era
you
has
know?
also provided new opportunities for image management. Jay's ownership stake in Tidal allowed him to control how his story was told on the platform, while his relationships with other streaming services gave him
Really?
influence over how critical content was promoted or suppressed. Social media has become another battlefield for Jay's image management. His team monitors online discussions about his business practices and uses various tactics to minimize negative coverage while amplifying positive narratives. But perhaps the most sophisticated aspect of Jay's defense strategy is how he has positioned himself as a symbol of Black excellence and entrepreneurial achievement. Criticizing Jay's business practices has been framed as an attack on Black success, making it difficult for critics to challenge his tactics without appearing to undermine broader goals of racial progress. This weaponization of racial politics has been particularly effective in hip-hop culture, where Jay's success is seen as validation of the genre's commercial and cultural power. Questioning his methods is often interpreted as questioning hip-hop's legitimacy. The result is a public discourse around JayZ that focuses on his achievements while ignoring the human cost of his success. His billion-dollar empire is celebrated as a triumph of Black entrepreneurship, while the artists and partners he exploited remain largely invisible. This narrative management has been so successful that Jay is now considered a role model for young entrepreneurs, despite the fact that his tactics would be considered unethical in virtually any other industry. The most devastating long-term impact of JayZ's systematic exploitation isn't just the individual artists and partners he finessed, it's how his tactics have been adopted across the entire hip-hop industry, creating a culture where exploitation is normalized and even celebrated as smart business. Today's hip-hop industry operates on principles that Jay pioneered: use culture authenticity to build trust, then exploit that trust for maximum financial gain. This model has been replicated by countless artists, executives, and entrepreneurs who see Jay's success and want to achieve similar results. The most obvious example is Drake, who has built his empire using tactics directly inspired.
Sorry, Drake is not another example, and here's why Drake is not an example. Drake, what he does, he remember before I've done a reaction video on um Drake is Drake um the same as Diddy, right? Drake is the same as Diddy, basically. Do you see what I'm trying to say? Give me a second. Trying to watch the game at the same time. All right, so he is the same as Diddy, they have the same similar business practices. Only I think Drake has the worst because the artists on his label, where are they? The only one that I can think of, yeah, is that's doing marginally well is most probably Popcorn. That's the only other individual that I can think of. Because where is who else was signed to his label? I don't even know. There was yeah, I can't think of any other artists. I'm not trying to be funny either. Leave your answer in the comment section below. Whereas with JayZ, you can read off a list of names that have been like successful. Whether it's Jay Electronica and okay, successful is subjective, but in terms of being able to actually have a name for themselves, like Jay Electronica, then you have uh J. Cole, which ironically J. Cole ended up working with Drake. Do you something to say? Like there's Rihanna, do you know what I mean? There's there's a list of individuals, and you can't even argue with it. Let's keep it moving.
Inspired by Jay's playbook. Drake's OVO label operates as a 360 entity that extracts value from every aspect of his artists' careers while maintaining the appearance of being artist-friendly. Party Next Door, Majid Jordan, and other OVO artists have found themselves in situations remarkably similar to the Roc-A-Fella artists of the early 2000s.
But here, how is it the same when he works with Birdman? How is it the same when, at the end of the day, he is similar practice of Leo Cohen? I'll just use that.
They receive promotional support and industry access, but the long-term financial benefits of their success flow primarily to Drake and OVO. The streaming era has amplified these problems exponentially. Playlist manipulation, algorithmic gaming, and artificial streaming inflation have become standard practices that allow established artists to maintain their dominance while limiting opportunities for independent artists. Jay's early manipulation of streaming numbers on Tidal showed the industry how digital platforms could be weaponized to control artists' success. Today, virtually every major label and management company uses similar tactics to benefit their priority artists while suppressing competition. The venture capital integration that Jay pioneered has also spread throughout hip-hop. Artists like Nas, Will.i.am, and Chance the Rapper have all launched investment firms that use their cultural credibility to identify business opportunities while providing minimal benefits to the communities that created their wealth. This has created a system where successful hip-hop artists become extraction vehicles for venture capital, using their relationships and cultural influence to generate returns for wealthy investors while their own communities remain economically marginalized. The management and label structures that Jay developed have become industry standard. Today's 360 deals are direct descendants of the contracts Jay used to exploit Roc-A-Fella artists, but they've been refined and perfected to extract even more value while providing even less artist protection. Young artists entering the industry today face systematic exploitation that makes the Roc-A-Fella era look benevolent by comparison. The contracts are more complex, the extraction mechanisms are more sophisticated, and the legal protections are even weaker. The cultural impact has been equally devastating. Hip-hop was originally built on principles of community, authenticity, and resistance to exploitation, but Jay's success has shown that the biggest rewards go to those who abandon these principles in favor of systematic value extraction. This has created a generation of hip-hop artists who see exploitation as smart business rather than betrayal. The culture that once celebrated collective success and community building now glorifies individual wealth accumulation at any cost. The international expansion of hip-hop has also spread Jay's exploitation model globally. As hip-hop scenes have developed in Africa, Asia, and Latin America, they've adopted business practices directly descended from Jay's playbook. Young artists in Nigeria, South Korea, and Brazil now face exploitation schemes that were pioneered in Brooklyn in the 1990s.
Now you're talking about Nigeria. Please talk about what you know, and I'll keep it. I'll play nice. I'll play nice, cause you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about.
but adapted for local markets and legal systems. The global hip-hop industry has become a network of extraction mechanisms that funnel wealth from local artists to international executives and investors. The technology sector has also adopted JayZ tactics for exploiting creative talent. Social media platforms, streaming services, and digital marketing companies now use similar strategies to extract value from content creators while providing minimal compensation. The influencer economy operates on principles that Jay perfected in the music industry: promise creators fame and success, then use their content and relationships to build platform value while keeping the creators financially dependent. But perhaps the most troubling impact has been on hip-hop's relationship with social justice and community activism. Jay's use of philanthropic activities and social justice rhetoric to deflect criticism of his business practices has become a standard playbook for wealthy hip-hop figures. Artists and executives now routinely use charitable giving and activist positioning to shield themselves from criticism while continuing to exploit the communities they claim to represent. This has created a culture where social justice becomes a marketing tool rather than a genuine commitment to change. The result is a hip-hop industry that has abandoned its founding principles in favor of systematic exploitation disguised as entrepreneurial success. The culture that once challenged power structures has become a mechanism for concentrating wealth and power in the hands of a few individuals. Young artists entering hip-hop today face a system that is designed to extract value from their creativity while limiting their ability to build independent wealth or challenge existing power structures. The dreams and aspirations that draw them out become the very mechanisms used to exploit them. The long-term cultural implications are staggering. Hip-hop's transformation from a community-based art form into an extraction.
This guy is waffling. Hey, yo, this is why I just have to speed up his voice, because he's just waffling, right? I'll be real with you. He's waffling. Because the reason why I'm trying to say that is because you have to understand that he's trying to make it seem like, oh, JayZ pioneered this, he pioneered this evil, disgusting, deplorable tactics and that to exploit people, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, if you understand capitalism, you will understand it really is about, like I said earlier, leverage. Well, knowledge is power. The more knowledge you have of that something, the more power you have it going forward for negotiation. Simple as that. And if you don't have the knowledge, that's on you. And obviously with the music industry, like I said, the entertainment lawyer will give you the advice that will let you know. And if you still sign, that is on you.
Action mechanism has implications far beyond the music industry. It represents the commodification and exploitation of black culture on an unprecedented scale. The artists and communities that created hip-hop have been systematically excluded from the wealth their culture has generated. Instead, that wealth has been concentrated in the hands of individuals like JayZ, who have mastered the art of cultural exploitation while maintaining the appearance of community leadership. As we reach the end of this investigation, the picture that emerges is clear. JayZ's billion-dollar empire wasn't built through entrepreneurial genius or artistic excellence. It was constructed through the systematic exploitation of trust, relationships, and cultural authenticity over more than 2 decades. The narrative that JayZ represents black excellence and entrepreneurial achievement is fundamentally false. His success came at the direct expense of other black artists, partners, and communities who trusted him and were left with nothing. His empire is built on broken promises, betrayed friendships, and exploited talent. The human cost of Jay's success is staggering. Dame Dash, once worth millions, has spent the last 20 years fighting lawsuits and struggling with debt. Beanie Siegel, one of the most talented
anyway, we'll just keep it moving. Let's go.
Rappers of his generation never achieved the financial success his talent deserved. Memphis Bleek, Jay's childhood friend, remains financially dependent on the man who owns his life's work. These aren't isolated cases or unfortunate business disagreements. They're the inevitable result of a systematic approach to wealth extraction that Jay has perfected over decades. But the impact extends far beyond individual victims. Jay's tactics have become the blueprint for exploitation across the entire entertainment industry. The contracts, corporate structures, and relationship manipulation strategies he pioneered are now standard practice, creating a system that keeps artists poor while making executives rich. The streaming era, venture capital integration, and global expansion of hip-hop have all been shaped by principles that Jay developed to exploit his early partners and artists. His influence on the industry has been so profound that young artists today face systematic exploitation that is considered normal business practice. Perhaps most troubling is how Jay has weaponized racial politics and cultural authenticity to shield himself from criticism. By positioning himself as a symbol of black success, he has made it difficult to challenge his practices without appearing to attack black achievement itself. This has created a culture where exploitation is celebrated as entrepreneurship, where betrayal is praised as business acumen, and where the systematic extraction of wealth from black communities is held up as an example of black excellence. The legal system has failed to address these problems because Jay's tactics, while ethically bankrupt, are technically legal. The complex contracts and corporate structures he uses to exploit artists and partners operate within the bounds of commercial law, even as they violate fundamental principles of fair dealing and fiduciary responsibility. Regulatory agencies and industry organizations have also failed to develop meaningful protections for artists because they are controlled by the same interests that profit from exploitation. The system is designed to protect executives like Jay while leaving artists vulnerable to systematic abuse. The media has been complicit in maintaining Jay's false narrative because entertainment publications depend on access to him and his artists for content. Critical coverage of his business practices is suppressed or minimized to protect these relationships. But perhaps the most damaging aspect of Jay's legacy is how it has influenced a generation of young entrepreneurs and artists who see his success and want to replicate it. They don't understand that his wealth was built on exploitation, so they adopt his tactics without recognizing their ethical
You're saying
implications.
that as if
This
it's
has
a
created a
fact.
culture where exploitation is seen as smart business, where betrayal is considered strategic thinking, and where the systematic extraction of value from vulnerable communities is celebrated as entrepreneurial achievement. The result is an industry and culture that has abandoned its founding principles in favor of wealth concentration and power accumulation. Hip-hop, which began as a community-based art form that challenged existing power structures, has become a mechanism for exploiting the very communities that created it. JayZ's billion-dollar empire stands as a monument to this transformation. Every dollar in his portfolio represents value extracted from artists who trusted him, partners who believed in him, and communities that supported him. His success isn't a triumph of black excellence. It's a cautionary tale about what happens when cultural authenticity becomes a tool for exploitation, when trust becomes a weapon for wealth extraction, and when the pursuit of individual success destroys the communities that make success possible. The question now is whether the hip-hop community and the broader entertainment industry will continue to celebrate this model of success, or whether they will finally recognize it for what it truly is: the systematic exploitation of talent, trust, and cultural authenticity in service of individual wealth accumulation. The choice we make will determine not just the future of hip-hop, but the future of how creative communities protect themselves from those who would exploit their dreams. JayZ may have won the game, but at what cost? And more importantly, how many more artists, partners, and communities will pay that cost before we finally say enough? The billion-dollar empire built on broken promises and betrayed trust stands as a warning. Success achieved through exploitation isn't success at all. It's theft disguised as achievement, and it's time we called it what it really is. If this investigation has opened your eyes to the reality behind JayZ's empire, share this video with every artist, entrepreneur, and hip-hop fan you know. The only way to stop this cycle of exploitation is to expose it for what it really is. And remember, when someone shows you who they are through their actions, believe them. JayZ has shown us exactly who he is through decades of systematic exploitation. It's time we stopped celebrating the empire and started supporting the artists and communities who paid the real price for its construction. The truth is out there. The question is, what are we going to do about it?
Kind of investigation. This is not investigation, all right? This is not investigation. I'm sorry. All right, this is not investigation. Let me read the comments. I'm gonna go to them. All right. All right, what video do you want to see next? A video of you. You know what I'm saying? A video of you, innit? Because who are you? All right, Jay ruined music. Obama ruined was already garbage and scam politics. LeBron ruined NBA. We are all one in the state. Relax. The reality is that 99.999999% is very rich people can't be rich unless they still cheat, exploit. Oh, come on, relax. Oh, hip hop, trust me. Oh, history ahead. I guess this beats working at McDonald's, huh? However, and this is really significant. However, but we all know now that the tactics are punchline for what it takes. Period. If you look, technology now is about making decisions. Yeah, but judging reactions, then exploiting these reactions scientifically and ethically, he is damn near not one to hold accountable. Anyway, I'm gonna put it this way. The irony of thinking JayZ is exploiting, but if that is what you concluded from this investigation, then I feel sorry for you. But each to their own. This was a great watch, as this was comedy. No, I don't want to do that. I'm gonna do that. I just put this instead, yeah, because again, like I'm being honest, yeah. They're talking about exploiting, but at the end of the day, they're exploiting themselves. Or so I continue. The irony of think of JayZ exploiting, but if that's what, hold on. No, I won't put that. You know why? Because if they get it, they get it. Anyway, but yeah, yeah, man. Let me know what your thoughts are. I don't know. Let me see what people are saying in the comments real quick. All right, shout out to Red Light 777. I have a video idea. If you want, one is of actors who though consider the god of comedy. If you ever want to do it someday. What do you mean? Like actually creating a video or like reacting to a video? Let me know. Let me know. But shout you out though for this comment though, for real, for real. But yeah, man, that is it for today, man. Like raw. I just realized how long I've been on stream. But anyway, on that note,